Welcome, 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 Marvel MCU movie fans everywhere. Tonight, we get into Iron Man 2 as well as Hulk 2008. I am here with my guy, Jordan Bird. Jordan, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How you doing?
Okay, I'm doing well, man. Doing well. I forgot to ask you the other night, and I should have,
Yeah.
but you got the Bulls 1991 hat on. Does that
Yeah.
tie into anything Iron Man 2 or not? No, it's just something you felt.
Really doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to Iron Man in general, I mean, I could put on most of it takes place in LA. I could put on like some Rams stuff, some Chargers stuff, but it just doesn't feel I it doesn't really connect well with the movie. Iron Man, especially these early movies, it's kind of hard to connect anything to sports in them.
Okay.
But as the movies go on, I'll be able to find stuff.
All right. Jordan, we're going to take a pause for the cause 1 sec. All right, Jordan. Let's get into Iron Man 2. Tony Stark and RDJ's second, I guess, venture into the world of Iron Man. You know what? What I'd like to know is what you thought the first time you saw it. And then give me your thoughts on the second time you saw it. And did anything change?
Um, so I've always been really harsh on this movie. I had a negative review of this movie for years up until like 2 years ago.
Okay.
Because I realized I was like, things could be worse. And that's my perspective on this movie. A lot of people have this as one of the worst Marvel movies. Some people I've had people wanting to start arguments with me saying that it is one of the best Marvel movies, and that was pre-Endgame. So a lot of stuff has happened since Endgame. My thought when I had an argument with this person was like it's pretty bad. But I also since then we've had a lot worse projects come out,
Mm-hmm.
and we've also had a lot of content put out with Marvel on Disney Plus, and both me and him have kind of come closer together on the idea of the movie. He's come down less from his thoughts on the movie. I've grown more with the movie. The first time I saw it, I remember nerding out over the fact that Nick Fury was in it and Black Widow was in it. Um, but other than that, I don't even remember my first theater experience with this movie. Um, and that says a lot for me because I remember my theater experiences with a majority of these films. I remember Iron Man 3, Phase 1, all of them except for this movie. I just it's an okay film. I think there's a lot going on. This movie could have easily it could have been better. I the idea like John Favreau stepped back. I mean, we're getting Don Cheadle as War Machine, and we're getting him as legit War Machine in this movie, which was awesome. In my opinion, this is the best version of his War Machine suit, probably until Infinity War. I love his Infinity War suit as well. There's just a lot going on in this movie. And this movie reminded me of the issues that plagued pre-MCU movies, especially X-Men: The Last Stand, Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. It felt like we were going down that road again. And the MCU realized this with this movie, and you wouldn't really see this happen in future installments until after an Endgame. So just they want so much going on because they want to establish the universe, but they need to circle back to who is what is the title of this movie?
Mm.
Iron Man 2. So let's make a sequel to Iron Man. Don't think about what's going to happen in the future. If you want to, like I don't hate the idea that Nick Fury and Samuel and Scarlet Black Widow is in this movie, but there's just so much going on with the idea. We have Ivan Vanko, we have Hammer Tech, we have the whole like Tony's like dying because of his chess piece, which I love that story. Um, just the idea like Pepper Potts is now CEO. He's promoted her to CEO. There's just and the whole thing with Nick Fury and Shield and stuff like that. There's just so much going on in this movie, and it can be too much at times. Um, but at the end of the day, I don't think this movie does too much to push the narrative of the MCU, and especially Phase One. Like, like taking a step back, do you think that this movie impacted the Avengers that much? The first Avengers movie.
Well, let's see. You've got Natasha Romanoff. You've got
Yes.
Nick Fury. You've
Yes.
got Iron Man.
But
Uh,
we got now I will say before you continue, we did Black we are introduced to Black Widow in this,
mhm,
but we did get Nick Fury in a post-credit scene and we've already gotten Iron Man. Don Cheadle's War Machine is already established.
mhm.
Does the does the plot of this movie push the plot of the first Avengers?
Well, didn't they tell him that he wasn't, that he would be hired as a consultant? Like, to me,
Sure.
she's evaluating him, right?
Hmm.
The reason she's there, because here's the thing, she could have given him the cure the first day she walked in. They knew he was struggling with it. They knew the
Hmm.
palladium was killing him. So she
Hmm.
could have walked up to him and said, "Hey, you know what? Let me see if I can help you out." She doesn't. Why? Because she wants to observe him. So I don't know that it was a dramatic effect or a one of grave impact, but it certainly did lead into it. I mean, they are evaluating him. They told him no, and I think a part of the reason they told him no was because they understood his psyche. If they told him yes,
Hmm.
he wouldn't want to do it. We'll get into that later,
Yeah.
but it was interesting in watching this the second time and third and fourth. I developed an appreciation for it because a part of this story is Tony's validation from his father, which again we'll get into later. But I could understand that, right? These and to your point, the story parts were from different plot points. I think one part of the story arc was Demon in the Bottle. It's clearly that when
Hmm.
he's drinking and getting drunk and shooting stuff off because he thinks he's gonna die. And again, which is funny because Natasha Romanoff tells him, "I'd do whatever I'd want. I'd do whatever I wanted to do with whomever I wanted to do it with." She tells him that, so you gotta think she had to know that he was gonna react that way. But anyway, we'll get into that.
Hmm.
Iron Man 2 was released in 2010, obviously directed by Jon Favreau. Producer was Kevin Feige. Box office was 624 million worldwide. So you know what? Did even better than Iron Man 1.
Hmm.
So the box office said it was a better movie, Jordan. I'm just saying. Okay. Box
They
office
also
said,
said the same thing about Thor: The Dark World with
oh,
Thor.
stop it. Oh,
Get
oh,
I can't wait to get
oh,
to that movie. We're almost
oh,
there. We're almost
oh,
there.
you cut me. You cut me,
Hmm.
Jordan. Oh, man.
Hmm.
Um, anyway. Um, Tony Stark is dying. The arc reactor's keeping it. The same thing that's keeping him alive is poisoning him. Jarvis even tells him that. And the world now knows he's Iron Man. And again, I think it's sort of the demon in the bottle series where Tony's spiraling. And it's interesting because in the beginning, everything is all good, right? He lands at the expo. He's doing his thing. He gets the summons from the court person, whoever, and they drive to the Senate hearing or whatever. And of course, it's Gary Shandling who is the Hydra senator or whatever who
Mm-hmm.
he secretly works for Hydra. I thought that was pretty good. I really like the Easter egg. The more I go back and watch these, Jordan, I like the
Mm-hmm.
Easter eggs, and because you know, they really did a great job of connecting here, connecting there. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
part of the fun of it. So I did enjoy that. But anyway, the U.S. government wants his tech. Justin Hammer wants his spotlight. Ivan Vanko wants revenge, and Shield wants control. Um, I didn't get the
That's a
Shield
lot.
necessarily. I didn't get that necessarily. Shield wanted control. They just wanted to put the Avengers together, and they're
Mm-hmm.
really trying to, at least in my humble opinion, and they're trying to assess. Okay, can we trust Tony? Because Tony's a bit, you know, look. The one thing we see in this movie is that he is incredibly eccentric, and he kind of, you know, flies by the seat of his pants. But he's also dying, right? So people
Mm-hmm.
who are dying, you're gonna make rash decisions. You're gonna do stuff like because you think you're dying. And you know what's interesting is, and I see what you mean when you're like, if people would just talk to each other. If Tony would have just told her, look, I'm dying. Because first thing we see, did you sell that? Did you? And he's like, yeah, you know, I sold it to the Boy Scouts. It's a good organization. But he's deflecting because he doesn't want to tell her. But if he'd have just told her, this would have been so much better. You know what I mean? We don't have the
Yeah.
arguments. We don't have the stuff at the end. But whatever, it's a movie. Of course, he doesn't tell her. They got to build the drama. But I enjoyed the Senate scene where
Mm-hmm.
he's he's like, I've privatized peace. You're welcome. I tried to help these ass clowns, but they just wouldn't work with me. And Gary Shanley goes, "F you, buddy," and Tony goes, that was not their whole interaction. That was hilarious. And then Justin Hammer. The only thing I had an issue with is that if you're a CEO of a tech, would you really be that inept, Jordan? Would you really think that a CEO, especially when dealing with Vanko, right? So when Vanko gets into he's like, oh my God, your passwords are shit. Your security's shit. That day, from day one, a real CEO would have assigned somebody to him. There's
Mm-hmm.
no way he would have just trusted him to just keep building and go along with his own agenda. You don't get to the level of CEO by trusting anybody that way. So to me, I didn't like that because I get that he's not as smart as Tony Stark. I mean, no one is. And I think they're trying to show just how much smarter Tony Stark is than the average person. But I don't think you have to paint Justin Hammer as an idiot, which is what they did. You get what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
didn't like that piece, but whatever. But it is a lot going on in this story. No doubt about it. The story builds towards Tony discovering his father's hidden legacy, creating a new element, and realizing he can't do this alone, setting up teamwork for the Avengers. And I agree with that. A lot of this movie is about Tony realizing that, you know what, I there are times I just can't do it myself. And I appreciate that. But what this movie is really about, Iron Man 2 is about legacy versus ego. Tony isn't asking how do I save the world. He's asking what do I leave behind and who am I without the suit. And it's interesting that 10 years later, Tony's the one that leaves, right? And we get to see just how much he's grown and the character arc. Tony truly becomes an unselfish person. He becomes a father, he becomes a husband, he becomes more so a leader. And it's just interesting to see where he started versus where he ends. Um, the movie forces Tony to confront his mortality, his father's mistakes, and the limits of independence. And I thought it was a great scene when his dad is, you know, rolling and telling him about whatever tech expo he was, and then they got the blooper reel, and he's like, I don't know, I just want to fart or whatever he says or whatever, and we clearly see that that's not being, you know, this is being shown to everybody. This is a blooper reel, and he says, "Hey Tony, I want you to know that you're the future. I don't have the technology to take this where it needs to go, but you will. And the most important thing that I've ever done is you." I thought that was really touching. Again,
Mm-hmm.
when I saw this movie in 2010, if it's one thing I've learned from this process, Jordan, is you gotta see the story. Now, again, was this movie great? No, I wouldn't say it was great, but I did enjoy certain pieces of it, and a lot of Tony's issues was he just wasn't validated by his dad. You know, the first thing he said is, "Well, he didn't tell me he loved me, and he didn't tell me this, and da 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 da." Stuff like that matters to kids. You get what I'm saying? So
Yep.
to see that play out, I enjoyed that. I really did. Um, give me your thoughts on that. Give me your thoughts on what this movie's really about. Anything I missed? Let's get into it.
I mean, there because there's so many plot points,
Uh,
there's so much that this movie is about.
yep.
And but there are a lot of great moments in this movie, like him and his dad. Like that is a beautiful moment.
Yep.
And also when he makes the new element, it is awesome. Like
Yes,
the whole concept of that scene is incredible.
it is.
I love his whole thought process. I love how he uses like his like 3D like I don't even know how to describe like his
Yeah,
technology because
how
we
he
don't
can
even
take it from the
yeah.
structure, flip
Yes.
it up, and then
Incredible.
yes.
I when I think about like all right, I'm a nerd and I like chemistry and stuff
So
like
am
that.
I. Agreed.
So when I was in chemistry class, I always thought about this movie and that scene in particular
Hmm.
because I thought it was a great way to understand the concept of atoms and their structure and molecules and their structure
Yeah.
and protons and neutrons because that is the best way to describe it is exactly what he's doing in that scene.
Yeah.
Like there's so many great moments, like Black Widow when she's going down the hall and she's killing all this, and she's like snapping people's necks and like knocking people out. Like that's such a cool scene. That was like my introduction to Black Widow was the animated Avengers movies that
Hmm.
came out right before the
Yep. I
MCU.
remember those.
Um,
I think I own a
and
couple of those.
but seeing Scarlett Johansson in this role, I was like, she's perfect
She
for
is
this role.
perfect. She is perfect.
Like she is awesome in every positive sense. Like, and I will say, in these early movies, she is a little sexualized, like in the
Like you
car
wouldn't
scene.
believe. Like you
Like
wouldn't believe. Yeah.
especially the car scene right before the fight. Like we didn't need the scene. She's undressing. She's trying to get into her suit, and Jon Favreau, who directed this movie,
Hmm.
is the also the one driving the car and is like swerving a little bit, and she's like eyes on the road. Um, you didn't need that scene at all. I mean, it's maybe a little funny for the time, but
Hmm.
it's a joke that can quickly go out of style. Um, but I mean, she's awesome in this. Nick Fury, it's his presence is just so incredible that like when Tony's in the donut eating donuts, which also iconic part of the whole movie is just I'm pretty sure that was in the trailers was just him eating the donuts inside the donut sign, and he's like, "Sir, I'm gonna need you to exit out of the donut." Like that whole interaction is so cool, and we're introduced to Coulson in this universe. If you're watching this chronologically, actually no, you the last time we saw him was Captain Marvel. If we're watching this chronologically, so this is the first time we're seeing Agent Coulson since then, and he's his super nanny thing that he does. He's like, if you try to leave the premises, I will tase you, and while I'm tasing you, I will watch the reruns of the nanny. Hilarious because we're immediately like, I like this guy. I really like this guy a lot, and it makes us feel for him eventually in Thor and then in the Avengers. Um, yeah, a lot of great moments when the racetrack scene, the whole entire racetrack sequence is really cool.
Yes.
But why are it's so hard to connect all of these moments?
Hmm.
Like and it almost feels forced. In my opinion, I don't think Hammer should have been in this movie at all. If I'm doing this movie and I'm redoing this whole movie, that's the part I'm taking out the most because I just don't care for Justin Hammer.
Hmm.
They tried to make him this psychological villain, like in the first Iron Man movie, uh, with Ironmonger, but it's not. He kind of sucks, and he sucks so bad that they hint that he's like, "I'm gonna see you soon." Um, this movie came out in 2010. It's been now 16 years. When is soon, bro?
We're not
And
gonna see you, buddy. Yeah, we're
a
not
lot
gonna
of
see you.
people speculate that he's on the raft. I'm curious if he's on the raft. And a lot of people thought he would show up in Captain America: Brave New World. And I was curious because I thought he was going to show up, and I also thought that would be way too many plot points. Another movie that, in my opinion, had a little too many plot points, which
Hmm.
I guess we'll talk about later with the Incredible Hulk because it basically is a sequel to that. Anyways,
Yeah, it is.
um, with this movie, there's a lot of great moments. There's just too much going on, and it it's same thing happens with like Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man 3. The difference is we like all these characters. Like I enjoy seeing all these characters except for Hammer. Like especially in this movie, I think Don Cheadle does such a great job as Rhodey initially. Like Terrence Howard, it's like okay, I'll take or leave him. Like I don't
Hmm.
I'm like okay, he's pretty cool. Like he cares for Tony, but in this you get a sense that this guy is in the military and that he's a leader immediately. And I have a lot. I immediately had a lot of respect for Don Cheadle's Rhodey after this movie,
Hmm.
especially because I love War Machine. I love War Machine. War Machine is so awesome to me. Um, but yeah, that's a whole other thing. There's so much War Machine in this, and I love it. There's so much I love, but there's so much. There's too much. It's overstimulating at times. Especially because you can't really connect these together. Like if you told someone who's never seen this movie but understands the Marvel comics, yeah, we got uh War Machine. I actually don't know Ivan Vanko's like super villain title. Whiplash, I think. Whiplash, I'm
Something like
pretty
that.
sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You have Whiplash in this movie. You have Justin Hammer. Shield's gonna be in this with Nick Fury and Black Widow. We're gonna touch on Tony having an alcohol problem, but they don't really touch on that because
Hmm.
I think I'll get into that later with why they didn't really add it. There's
Hmm.
deleted scenes with
Hmm.
this movie. Um, and they wanted to start the Avengers before the Avengers. They really wanted to blend these movies together a little bit. They wanted to have more of a glue movie. And then there's the whole thing with his father and creating the element. Like you have to. There's so much. I don't even remember the runtime of this movie. But describing that sounds like a 2.5 hour, 2 hour and 45 minute movie, and I know for a fact that we didn't get that.
No.
And it felt like Iron Man 2 and 3 put together.
Hmm.
And I think I think if you separate this movie into two, not two parts, but separate the plot points into two different movies,
Hmm.
like his arc reactor and him dying, put that in Iron Man 3. Make that something we worry about in the first Avengers movie.
Hmm.
And then when we get to Iron Man 3 and he's not only having panic attacks, but he's also because of the events of the Avengers, but also he's dying. Make that a huge plot point and almost like a rebirth. Like we end Iron Man 3 and he has the new like chess piece
Right.
instead of taking out completely, have a
Right.
new chess piece altogether. Um you can leave the shield stuff in here. You can leave Whiplash in here. Shield is in here, but not like helping, um, because they're like oh, we want to see what Tony can do against someone. Okay, let's do that. Justin Hammer, push him to the third movie. You really don't need him at all in this movie. Make Whiplash the villain, and but make him smart enough that he can build that suit himself.
Hmm.
Like the because he's clearly smart enough to do it, but you need to maybe connect somehow with like Rhodey's War Machine needs to be in this movie because I think it makes sense for a sequel to an Iron Man movie, especially how they set it up with Terrence Howard at the end of the first Iron Man movie. It makes total sense. You keep Rhodey, keep that, keep Shield, keep Whiplash, move Hammer and the chess piece stuff, and the stuff with his dad for the third movie because I think that is a great way to end the trilogy.
Hmm.
Instead, I don't care too much for Iron Man 3 as much as this movie. Um, Neither of those movies live up to the first movie at all. But yeah, there's so many great plot points in this movie, and
I like this movie. There's so much to like, and
I
I
liked
agree
it.
it is fragmented, but they're just some gems, man. Like when Rhodey shows up and I'm gonna say this once, get out,
Get
and
Out.
Tony's like,
Yeah,
hey
that's great.
DJ, can you drop a beat that I can kick my friend's ass to? All right,
Yeah.
like I mean, again,
Mhm.
there's so many good parts of this movie. Like his line, Tony has so many great one-liners that they are. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. he was born to play Iron Man. Like just hilarious. But when he's like, yeah, drop a beat that I can kick my buddy's ass to, and they get into it, they fight. I enjoyed that, man. I thought that was funny.
Mhm.
Uh, Tony is more reckless than ever. He's more afraid than he admits. This is Tony at his lowest, partying, deflecting, self-destructing because he believes he's already dead. And that's true. That's very true. And they did kind of lean into that demon in a bottle series, but Tony is often self-destructive and in because he tries to deal with things alone. And so I think that was a big plot point in this movie is that sometimes you got to ask for help. Now again, I don't know who you go to and say, hey, I got this thing in my chest. It's palladium. I'm Iron Man.
Mhm.
I'm dying. You know what I mean? It's so take it for what it's worth. Pepper Potts steps into leadership. She becomes the moral center and stabilizing force Tony refuses to be. It's interesting seeing her in this awkward stage where she's still doing his bidding, but she's doing so much of his bidding that she's taken over the company. And when he goes to see her, and I don't understand why bring her strawberries. Did he bring her strawberries because he forgot? Why bring her strawberries when she's allergic to them? Did that make sense to you?
I think in the moment he's like, oh, I should bring her something to like maybe cheer her up a little bit. And he's driving as fast as he can. He sees the strawberry stand and then grabs a bunch of strawberries. I think it's
So
one of
he
those like
forgot.
quick little instinctive. And look, Tony is not someone that necessarily is, and you see him grow into this. That
Hmm.
like where in these first like two movies, even the Avengers, he doesn't really care for other people's like thoughts and like emotions. He
Right.
doesn't. He doesn't, and he learns quickly. Especially in the third movie, I think is when that shift happens. When he goes through the panic attacks, and he meets the kid. I don't remember his
Yeah, I
name.
remember the kid.
Um,
Yeah.
but he realizes that he should think more about other people and
Mm.
care for other people, and we see that fully displayed in Civil War.
Yeah.
And you see that shift after Civil War with how Tony treats Peter in Spider-Man: Homecoming. That he really cares for this kid. He wants to teach him a lesson, teach him lessons, and he knows that he can be better than him. So when you are in these two movies, he doesn't necessarily, even the little things you'll realize, he doesn't necessarily think about, like, he doesn't hear what other people are saying. He's that narcissistic.
Yes.
He doesn't hear what other people are saying, even though you could be talking. He's one of those people that you could be talking straight to their face and they could be looking directly into your eyes. And when you're talking to them, they just don't listen to a word you're saying because you know there's people like that. I know there's people like that. I know there's people like that. And if there's someone out there that is watching this that's friends or family with me, and you're listening to this, you know who you are because I call you out on it. Anyways,
But they're not listening to you because they don't listen to what other
oh
people
yeah,
say.
exactly. They're not
You just
listening.
missed them. You just
Yeah,
missed them. I don't know, man.
it's want want
Um,
want 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 want
wah
want
wah
the
wah
whole
wah
time.
wah. No, you know what it is? Phenomena. Do do
Manana.
do do. Phenomena.
Do-do-do.
Do 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 do.
Mhm.
Ivan Vanko, not fully developed but thematically important. He represents what happens when legacy turns into obsession, and that's
Mhm.
interesting. The story that he told his son versus what really happened, right?
Mhm.
Because his son just hates Tony Stark, hates the entire Stark family. When if his dad would have just been honest with him, maybe this doesn't happen. But I guess you can't tell your son, hey, I was doing some illegal stuff and I got fired and da 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 da. It's easier to blame somebody else.
And
Justin
what's
Hammer.
great about Ivan is that, and they could have done a better job with the parallel. And we see what they were the where what they were trying to do with this movie with that father son parallel. Basically, if Tony was not raised in the greatest of places, he
Mm-hmm.
would have gone the path of Ivan.
Mm-hmm.
And these are two different paths, both forged by their fathers. We could have really made this a father-driven narrative of a movie,
Yeah.
but we don't see that. It's more of just like a typical revenge story instead of a narrative-driven in movie because of that. And it was a little disappointing with that. And in my opinion, as much as I love that final battle scene, I do think it's a little anticlimactic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
It
that's
is.
my. But we'll get to the
It is.
finale.
Justin Hammer, he did have his moments, man. Especially when he's describing the weapons and he's like, "Yeah, it just totally blows everything up and destroys it." I call it the ex-wife. That
The
was funny.
ex-wife.
That was funny. You know what I mean? That was funny. And then when War Machine and Iron Man are fighting Vanko, and War Machine shoots the ex-wife, and he's like, "Ah, damn it, Justin Hammer." He's like, "Yeah, it was just that was funny. There were parts in that movie that were really comical." Also, why does Justin call Tony Anthony? He's the only person I've ever heard call him Anthony. Like, what is that about?
It's one of those things you want to irritate the person. It's the same thing that happened with DK Metcalf a couple weeks ago against the Detroit Lions. I mean, when someone called him his full name, which I mean, there's recordings of what happened with the whole situation with multiple eyewitnesses that he was calling DK by his full name, DeKalen Metcalf, and it was just trying to irritate him. I there's two sides of this where I'm like, I don't care if you call me by my full name. I mean, my full name's Jordan Nicholas. So like, if yeah, I've had people just randomly call me like, people call me different names. I get Jordy, I get Jordan, I get Jordan, I get Jay, I get J Dog, I get Jordan Nicholas, I get Nicholas. I get like all different names. So I get Buddy. Buddy is the family thing. Only family members call me Buddy. Um, but some people get irritated with it, and I'm like, I think it's because people are like scared of their middle name or something like that, or their full legal name, and I'm like, all right, it's just a name. Like it's your name, bro. Like that's you're kind of insecure. I don't. I think he's just trying to make Tony insecure, but Tony doesn't care. And honestly, it's a plot line, and it's so minuscule that I'm like, why even add it to the script?
Yeah, I think it would be better if like he was actually a threat to Tony. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
him saying, Anthony is like the Falcons telling the Eagles you suck. I mean, we could say it, but you know what I mean? They're gonna be like, whatever, right? I
yeah,
mean, or the Falcons saying, "Ha, you guys only have two championships, right?" Like if the 49ers said it, it'd be different. They have five, I
yeah,
think. Yeah, they got five.
yeah.
Um, so it's like it serves no purpose because I don't know. I'm like, why is he calling him Anthony? Like, do the it almost felt like, do they have a history or something? Like, were they in boarding
I,
school together? Or
I also think it's sort of like a public thing because you notice when he says it, it's in front of a large group of people.
right
And I
at the
think it's
Senate
for
hearing?
people to see that, oh, these two have a long history. I think
Mm,
that's maybe it. But I'm like, okay, I don't. And he talks about when they were younger and stuff like that in with the girl that he's being interviewed by, which
yeah,
is the same
we
girl from the
actually
first
like each
movie.
other. We don't hate each other. Da da da
Yeah.
da. And she has no interest in him whatsoever. And she's like, he's like, oh my god, is he getting ready to race? And she's like, I'll be back. Like, she's clearly, you know, that
Yeah.
there was so many good parts of this movie. Like when Pepper Potts and the reporter who Tony had a thing with, um, she's Pepper's like, oh yeah, they had a long interview. Or just the way she
Mhm.
described it, it was a very thorough interview. Like it was, you can see Pepper's a little jealous, right? Because I'm like, you didn't have to do that there. You could have just been like, yes, she interviewed him, but she wanted her to know that she remembered, and she wanted Justin to know as well. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. But Justin is insecurity personified, a dark mirror of Tony without talent, vision, or conscience. See, I don't get the purpose of that there
Because he
because
just wants to make money a little. He just wants to make money. Like I don't know his full intent of the whole situation.
yeah,
He wants to make money and be the top person in the world over Stark, and he's just yeah he doesn't have the talent, vision, or
he doesn't.
conscience
He doesn't.
to
Matter of fact,
be
he's
like
he's
that way.
he's not even smart enough to be a CEO. So whatever.
Yeah.
Natasha Romanoff, quietly introduced as a long-term MCU pillar. She's observing, evaluating, and laying groundwork for the Avengers, and she does. I tell you what was funny was when they arrive at the site and she goes in whooping ass, and Happy takes 10 minutes to knock this guy out, right? And he's like, "All right, I'm done." And you look up and there's like a row of 10 people she just took out. Like, first off, that scene that with her fighting, I think that is the best that they captured of all of her skills. Because even in the way that she took guys down and even in the way that she fought, that was so true to Black Widow.
Hmm.
That was that opening scene was quite uh quite the scene, man. I really enjoyed everything that went into that. I thought that was great. I did. Um let's talk about some themes. So obviously mortality, legacy versus inheritance, ego versus responsibility, isolation versus teamwork, government control of power. That's a big one. That's a big one. These themes echo loudly in Civil War and Infinity War later, and definitely in Civil War. But I thought that was interesting, man. These guys want my technology. You can't have it. But the good news is I've privatized peace. He's so arrogant in that, like, that's hilarious. He's like, yeah, uh, the rest of the world probably have these weapons, probably have these suits in 5 years. Hammer Tech, 20, right? Um, I don't know if you can tell that, but that sentencing is one of my favorites. I just thought it was funny.
I
I
like that scene. Yeah.
really enjoyed it.
Hmm.
But yeah, anything I left out? Anything else you can think to add to it?
I think that touches base on all the themes of it. I mean, I will talk about the mortality. I mean, most of the mortality was the fact that Tony's dying in this movie, and we see that with his chess piece
Yep.
being like poisoning him basically. And most of this movie draws from the inspiration of like in the comics when Tony um, just abuses alcohol. Well, this movie was supposed to be a lot different with that, and I know Robert Downey Jr. has gone through addiction, and that's why it wasn't in this movie.
That's
I
fair.
mean, they shot the whole beginning of this movie was different. There's a deleted scene you can look at where he's like throwing up in a toilet on the airplane
Hmm.
that's right above the Stark Expo.
Hmm.
So before he descends, well, I love the cut we got. Um, I'm actually glad they didn't have that in this, but I would have liked to touch base on his alcohol abuse in this. Um, but I mean, there's a whole scene where like Pepper Potts is yelling at him on the plane saying you need help, and he's like I don't need help. I just and he's not only is he drinking, but he's also on an airplane, so he's getting air sick. And he looks like a mess. Um, and I really wish they touched on that in this movie, but I understand why because like I know Robert Downey Jr.'s wife was worried about him while they were doing this movie. Because I mean, even the scene that we got with him right before him and Rhodey at the party, um, like that's probably the most we ever got of Tony actually drinking. And I mean, he doesn't. Yeah, we don't see him drink ever again
Hmm.
in the entire MCU. So um, just I completely get why they did this. I think with a different actor
They
under
probably
different
would have.
circumstances, you're
Yeah.
probably we might end up seeing it again. Like if they end up rebooting the MCU, I would be shocked if this is and they do a completely new Iron Man. I wouldn't be shocked if that's what they end up doing. Um, I mean, it would have been really nice to see. Also, you could have done that plot point in this movie and then him dying in the third
Hmm.
movie.
Hmm.
Again, you could have touched base on that, made this movie a little different, split this up into two different movies. But yeah, I mean, it would have been a completely different movie. But I'm glad with the cut we got. Like, I do like the way the movie starts. Like him just dive, you just see him like falling out of the sky, and you're like wondering where he's going, and you think he's getting shot at, but then it's fireworks, and and he just does a superhero landing, even though he would have probably shattered his legs doing that at real life. But this isn't real life. We're in the MCU, but it's a really cool introduction to the character in a sequel. Um, and yeah, I liked what we got. I like it.
Yeah, I thought that dissension was badass, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That just the way he came down and was, and then he, you know what I mean? He comes down, and all of a sudden we see him. The machines are helping him take off the suit. It was really cool. I gotta admit it. They do that. That's one thing they do well with this character. Is every year or every time we see him in a new movie, the technology gets better, the dismount gets better, the disrobing from Iron Man back to Tony Stark gets better. So I did like that. Peak moment in the movie, got to be Tony's relationship with his father. Um, I just thought that I felt like they did that well, and it seemed like when he saw that and he got his father's message, he was inspired. As a matter of fact, I think he even says you've been dead 20 years and you're still taking me to school. So, um, and that's respect for one's elders, and I think again, Tony's pretty much a baby boomer. Excuse me, a Gen Xer, which means his dad's a baby boomer. And baby boomers weren't really the men were not really expressive to their sons, right? So a lot of things were inferred but never said, never spoken, and that is
Mhm.
true. That is true. So I get that. You probably got a lot of Gen Xers walking around like Tony every day. Oh, my dad didn't tell me he loved me. So I mean that's true. So I get that, but I like the scene. I really like the way, to your point, where he took the blueprint from the 3D model, flipped it up, and then began to piece together the atom that he needed for his chest, and then the way he built. So the other thing that's great about those movies is he always builds these makeshift um, labs or whatever. If he needs to do something, I thought that was pretty cool. So I did like that. I thought that was cool. Let's get to Age Like Wine and Age Like Milk. So Sam Rockwell's performance. You know what? I mean, Hammer was okay. He was not in game level for me. What did you think of his? I mean, he was okay, right? And I don't know if I have bias because the character's incompetent, but he just wasn't that inspirational to me. What are your thoughts on Hammer's character here?
Well, I think Sam Rockwell did exactly what was asked of him. I think Sam Rockwell did a great job in his performance. The issue is, I don't think this. I think this just the writing sucked. I didn't think the character was needed. I think the character just overall sucks. But I think Sam Rockwell in just himself, I think he did exactly what he needed to with the script.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That is fair. Age like milk, yeah, and like you say, overstuffed plot, underwritten villain. I think they're talking about Vanko there.
Yes.
Vanko is far more nefarious than he's portrayed, and far
Yes.
more expansive. Like he's not just Iron Man's enemy. Like he's got ties all over the Marvel universe, and he's really no one to be trifled with. So they did kind of dumb him down a little bit.
Mhm.
Um. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Um, in your opinion, Jordan, does the MCU work with Iron Man 2?
I mean, it kind of forcibly works, like by introducing Black Widow, by like showing us Shield and showing us more parts of Shield. Um, I mean, it kind of forces us into the Avengers, which I mean, I don't know if you needed it or not. I think we kind of got all we needed from the end credit scene in the first Iron Man movie, and in Thor we expand on Shield a lot. So like I take that back. I don't even know if you need Shield in this movie because it's expanded upon so much in Thor
Mm-hmm.
that maybe you didn't even need Agent Coulson in this. Maybe you didn't need Nick Fury in this. Black Widow, this is a great movie to add Black Widow, just like Thor is a great movie to have Hawkeye in the shadows. Like you introduce them, just throw them in there
Mm-hmm.
and realize that this we are molding the Avengers now. Like yeah, I don't think you needed Shield. I don't think you need Nick Fury in this. I don't think you need Agent Coulson in this. But Black Widow, yeah, you need a Black Widow. But Thor did most of the heavy lifting with Shield
Yeah,
and Captain America.
yeah, yeah. I think they were tasked with just trying to make sure that we were introduced into these characters, and
Mhm.
you've got the plot of this movie, and then you've got the bigger plot. So I can understand, but yeah, at times it does feel fragmented and jumbled. I don't want to say it feels chaotic, but it is a lot going on.
Yeah, it's not chaotic. Like Spider-Man 3 was chaotic. X-Men: The Last
Yeah,
Stand, chaotic.
yeah,
This isn't chaotic. There's just it's a little too much. Just you could have backed away a little bit.
yeah. Definitely, man. Definitely felt that. Definitely felt that. Um,
Now, if I watched this movie and did like a live reaction to the movie, I'm sure people would probably think my thoughts on the movie are better than they actually are. Like I feel like I'm a little harsh right now talking about the movie, but like there's so many cool sequences in this movie and less dialogue. And it's funny that they have this type of movie right after The Incredible Hulk, which we will end up getting to, because The
mhm.
Incredible Hulk does a little bit of the opposite.
Yeah, yeah. Hulk was definitely well done. Hulk was definitely well done. I wanted to get into some scenes, but my doesn't seem to be working here. I'm trying to get into. There we go. Thank you, Lord. Let's see.
I will say, some interesting notes that I had
Mm-hmm.
going into this. So Emily Blunt was initially going to be Black Widow.
I did
She
not
was
know that.
she was offered the role of Black Widow. She could not do it because she was contractually obligated to do the movie Gulliver Travels. she said she didn't. She repeatedly says, like people will say, "Oh, but you had to do Gulliver Travels," and she's like, She always corrects people and says, "I was contractually obligated to do that movie." So it sounded like she didn't want to do Gulliver
Yeah.
Travels whatsoever.
Yeah.
So she couldn't. She just flat out couldn't do be Black Widow. So it would have been interesting. And what's also interesting is John Krasinski was offered two roles in the MCU. One of them being Fantastic Four, which that we it's hit or miss if we know. But he was offered the role of Captain America. Um, the only reason he was offered the role of Captain America was because Chris Evans was really against the role. Uh, he actually didn't even he said he wouldn't audition, and Marvel Studios was like, okay, that's fine. But the reason he ended up doing it was because Robert Downey Jr. called him. But anyway, yeah, John Krasinski. We could have had John Krasinski and Emily Blunt in the movies, and now they're married in real life. Um, yeah. Then Rhodey. I think I mentioned this before. After the whole Terrence Howard situation, Rhodey was given 1 hour to say yes or no to taking
That
this
is
role
crazy. That is insane.
at
That
his
is
daughter's birthday
insane.
party. Like that's really crazy. Um, so the actor who plays Ivan Vanko signed on for the role, but he had three things that he wanted of the villain, which there's such three just odd things. He wanted to be Russian, so he wanted to
Hmm.
have a Russian accent.
Okay.
He wanted a bird on his shoulder, um, and he wanted his hair in a bun. He got all of that, even though it was odd requests. I mean, like the whole thing where he's like, "I want my bird," like,
I want my bird.
like, like, okay, this feels just weird. Even the first time I saw it, I was like, "All right, dude, like, you want your, and you want a bird, you want your bird, okay, I guess." Um, some early versions of the movie and the script had Ghost actually showing up. We end up seeing Ghost in Ant-Man and the Wasp. She's one of the main villains in that movie. She is basically the main villain of Ant-Man and the Wasp. And then we end up seeing her in Thunderbolts. So this was the early start of the character of Ghost. She was going to be in a tech suit or in one of the tech suits that they end up showing that Hammer shows at the end. But yeah, that was an early version of the script. And then this one other one, which actually went into deleted scenes, was nanotech was going to be shown in a nano ball. And at the end of the movie, he was at the beginning of towards like the beginning middle of the movie. Um, Pepper and Tony are talking about like this like nanotech ball that they have, and like um and by the end of the movie it like cycles back around and ends up saving Tony and Pepper in like the final battle against Ivan.
Hmm.
And it like ends up like saving them in some sort of way, but this was going to be the early stages of nanotechnology being introduced, which I actually would have really liked to see that in either this one or the third one,
Hmm.
because when you're watching the whole MCU, you get to Infinity War and we get into nanotechnology, Black Panther and Iron Man. We get into nanotechnology really quickly, I
Hmm.
feel like. And in my opinion, this was one of the worst mistakes that Marvel made was nanotechnology because it makes everything so simplified. That's why I relate so much to Spider-Man is because this dude's got to pull off his mask, he's got to take off
Hmm.
his suit, he's got to get into his real clothes. Like it's relatable, but when you're and it makes things easier in the grand scheme of things when you get to a big movie like Infinity War where
Hmm.
and you have to have people like showing their face quickly and then not showing their face. So I there's certain instances where like yeah I get it, but this it felt like we were rushed when we got to Black Panther and Infinity War, and we have nanotechnology suddenly a thing. But yeah, those were all the things that I had like just going into this movie that were like little things, little interesting facts.
Yeah, And you know what else? Mickey Rourke rewrote dialogue. I did not know that.
Yes. Yeah.
I did not know that. Rockwell improvised heavily.
Hmm.
There was an Elon Musk cameo.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
I didn't
forgot.
know who he was at this point. Like I watched this movie like 50 million times, and I think I finally knew that it was him in like 2000, in like 4 years ago.
Hmm.
Like I because look, I didn't know who this was,
Right.
and most people didn't know who it was,
Right.
and but it was one of those things that I mean, now that the holidays have passed, like everybody's watched Home Alone and Home Alone 2. I had no idea who Donald Trump was for the
Hmm.
longest for my entire life,
Hmm.
up until like 2015 when I was in business classes in high school. Oh, and I knew who he was then. Then I was like, oh, okay, that's the same guy. Like there's certain cameos in movies that are just so stupid because it's like, what was the point of this? What was the
Nothing.
point of
Just
Elon
to
Musk
show
being
what
in
a
this movie?
star you are. Just to
What?
show
Yeah,
what a star you are.
like you could have thrown Bill Gates in there. You could have thrown in Steve Jobs in there. I wouldn't have cared any more or
Hmm.
less.
Hmm. Hmm. No, I get it. 100%. Senate scene mirrors real hearings, and it did.
Yep,
I like the whole Don Cheadle. I'm here. Deal with it. Let's go. That's the
love
first
it.
time I've seen Marvel like deal with a real life issue as well as you know end the character. You brought that up when we talked about this last week, and I went and I looked at it and I was like, yeah, you're right. But I like the I'm here. Deal with it. Let's go. Perfect. I like that.
And the only other time they really do a great job with that is in Brave New World, where Sam's like, "I like your new look" to Harrison Ford's character, and to General Ross,
Hmm.
well, President Ross at the time,
Right.
and that's because the original actor who played General Ross,
Had a
he
mustache.
ended up passing away,
Hmm.
and uh, Harrison Ford said he didn't want to do a mustache. There's rumors he didn't want. He said no, he would never do a mustache. Then there's rumors that's not true. So I don't know the whole backstory, but I like how they did it, where Sam was like, "I like the new look," and he responds with, "If yeah, they said I had to shave the mustache for the presidential
Yeah.
campaign." I was like, "That's another great way of just sliding that in there. Why didn't you do that with Kang?" Anyways,
Mm. Yeah, we gotta talk. I like Kang. We'll talk about
I
Kang
like
later.
Kang too.
I really like Kang. I hate the way that ended because I thought he was
Yes.
such
Hmm.
Jonathan Majors is perfect in that role.
Yes.
And oh man, he made Ant-Man 3. There was no other reason to see Ant-Man 3 other than Kang, in my humble opinion.
Yes. Yes.
Um but yeah, Black Widow was almost cut. I did not realize that. I did not realize that. I didn't
I didn't know
realize
that
she was
either.
almost cut out. So that was kind of something else that we said. Um, Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 72%. IMDb gave it a 7. Metacritic gave it a 57. I'm very, very interested. I mean, very, very interested to hear what you gave it. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you mine.
Hmm.
I gave it a 7 out of 10. I didn't feel that it was as good as Iron Man, but after looking at it, there's a lot about this movie that I like. Specifically, the quotes. Iron Man is just RDJ is just, he's so great. He's great just in his comments. Um, and the little subtle things he does. The little the comments that he makes under his breath. Just just great, 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 great film. So I did give it a 7. I think I know what you gave it. I think I know what you gave it, but I'm gonna wait on you. What did you give it, Jordan?
Well, first, all right, so you gave it a 7 out of 10. That's the same score you gave X-Men Apocalypse and the Fantastic Four from 2005, I think.
Hmm.
Where do you rank that amongst those three?
Um, it's a good question.
So you had Apocalypse above Fantastic Four.
I shouldn't have.
You shouldn't
Mm,
have.
I shouldn't have. In thinking about it later,
Mhm.
and so I'm gonna go Fantastic Four. Then I'm gonna go Iron Man 2. Then I'm gonna go X-Men Apocalypse.
All right.
Just because, in the long and short of it, there's no way Apocalypse would ever die at the hands of anybody there. Like again, if you'd have had the Mad Jim Jasper show up, or a reality warper like a Beyonder or Franklin Richards, okay, by all means, yes, he's dwarf. But outside of that, ain't nobody that was at that party that was gonna kill Apocalypse. Nobody. So even if Jean Grey did go crazy and take, I don't see that. I just don't. But anyway, whatever. Um, yeah. So, what did you give it, sir?
Well, I'm curious. You think you know what I gave it? What do you think I gave it?
Me knowing you,
Mhm.
you're not gonna give it a five, because a five, I just don't think you see this movie as a five. I'm thinking you give it a six. A five is the lowest possible rating you will give to a movie that you recommend, and I just don't think you would do that for this one. I don't think you would give this movie a seven, just because you didn't like it and it doesn't sound like it got better. I mean, you did give it a positive review, so it's got to be either five or six. And Process of Elimination to me is a six. Give us your thoughts. What'd you give it?
Your your process of elimination was great, but I give it a 5.5.
Ah, okay, okay. I was
Yeah.
close. I was close.
So I gave it a 5.5. In comparison to other movies, it's less than X-Men Dark Phoenix, but I put it above Fantastic Four. Um, which I mean, you put Fantastic Four above Iron this movie. I'm curious your thoughts on that.
First Family.
Hmm.
Um, it's definitely not above Iron Man 1, but
Yeah, no, yeah.
I felt like it was too much going on in this movie, and to me, that one was a more straightforward
Hmm.
approach to where they were trying to go. So, for me,
Hmm.
yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I give it a 5.5. I mean, yeah, like you said, I give my 5 is the lowest score I'll give to a movie that I'll recommend to
Recommend to
someone.
anybody, yeah.
I think there's just so much going on in this movie that's
Hmm.
hard to recommend to someone.
Hmm.
It's hard to recommend this movie to the average audience person. I mean, there's a lot of really cool parts of this movie, and that's the part that makes it stick out the most in my opinion.
Hmm.
But like the average moviegoer is gonna be like, they went into Iron Man and they're like, oh, okay, this is a straightforward story. This is really cool, and they're like, oh, I really like this character. And then you go into this movie and you're like, Shield, Whiplash, Hammer, Don Cheadle's War Machine. Oh, by the way, his dad was a part of Shield, and by the way, he's dying, so he's got to create a whole new element. Like, you're like, if you're an average moviegoer, you're like, whoa, 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 slow your roll. And I just that's how I feel with this movie. And yeah, I think Fantastic Four is really straightforward. I think the dialogue is better in this movie than Fantastic
It's
Four.
definitely 100. Now,
Yeah.
if you're
I
talking at
mean,
100% better,
yeah.
100%,
Um, I think overall the action in this movie is the action in this movie is incredible at
it's
times.
great. It's great.
Um, I
Only
don't think the CGI is great.
No, but I mean, whatever.
Yeah,
I enjoy it.
yeah.
Like, I don't really have an
I
eye
look
that is
past it.
that my eye is not that finely tuned to where I'm gonna say, oh, I just, I mean,
Yeah.
unless it's really bad, I'm not gonna, CGI looks like CGI to me. Like
Yes.
the Blade movie where you could tell it
Yeah.
wasn't him, okay. But anything out, like, the only thing I would have said is it would have been nice to have the nanites or the nanotechnology
Yeah.
when he's fighting Banco on the
Yes.
racetrack, because then he could just,
Yeah.
morph into it and it's there, as opposed to him like, I need the football, I need the
Yes.
football, and he cracks the car open, and
Yeah.
oh man. And that's the other thing. Like
Hmm.
Banco clearly had didn't does not fear death, because
Yeah.
he's on a racetrack where cars are coming towards him at 200 miles an hour. They even crash, and he's got his back turned. So what that tells me is he's ready to die. Like he truly does not care. You can't care about yourself if you're going to attack Tony on a racetrack where race car drivers are reaching speeds of at least 200 miles an hour. Because at 200 miles an hour, there are no mistakes.
Right.
You either are going to be a part of the pavement, or I'm going to be a part of the pavement, or both.
I thought here's another plot line that I completely miss. Um, Pepper Potts and Tony's relationship.
Hmm.
Like it does advance to another level in this movie,
Hmm.
in behind the scenes, and that's I think the most frustrating thing about this movie, in my opinion, is we didn't get to fully see that play out.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to have seen that play out because then it would make the stakes at the end of the movie more emotional.
Hmm.
In my opinion, the finale, as fantastic as that fight with Tony and Rhodey versus all those robots is,
Hmm.
like all the little things, there's no music at all. You just hear clinking and clanking and bullets flying. It's incredible. All of it is amazing,
Hmm.
and it is probably it is definitely better than any specific single scene from an action standpoint in Iron Man.
Hmm.
And I will say it's probably better than any specific action scene in Iron Man 3. You could argue the final scene in general with all the suits and stuff,
Hmm.
but I think there's too much going on in that scene, and I think it's great that like you just hear you get so hyped up watching this scene
Hmm.
that like you hear or this like ding ding, and it's all these robots falling down, landing slowly, slowly, and it's like a drum. You
Yeah.
get a drum and a beat. You get that constant thing, and then the last beat of that drum's like entire song is both Rhodey and Tony's face shields going down.
Hmm.
Like it's about to go down, and then they're just going nuts. I mean, we see the Tony where he's like get down, and he shoots that laser thing, which I don't think he brings that back until Endgame.
Hmm.
Where he just has the lasers coming out, and he's like, "Yeah, it's only a one-time thing," and I'm
Hmm.
like, "Oh, all right. Well, maybe bring that in Infinity War. You could have used that in Infinity War."
Yes, you could have.
Um, but I mean, that's so cool. And then bringing back full circle, the action's so great in this movie. Because from an action standpoint, their fight at the beginning between Rhodey and Tony, I mean, they have their their they're shooting the blast at one another, and it clearly destroys part of Tony's house,
Hmm.
and they're like and in that moment bringing that back full circle is incredible, but it doesn't kill Ivan completely, and he's just like, all right, and he commits like, well, I can't say this on YouTube or anything, but he offs himself, let's say.
Hmm.
um so
I
he
didn't know you couldn't say
does.
that on YouTube.
I
That's
mean,
interesting. Wow.
you technically can't say that, but who knows.
Ha!
So he just like offs himself,
Right.
and I'm like, all right, this felt anticlimactic, and they tried to make it more interesting by like having all the robots like explode I would like by him pressing a button and they're on a timer and
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, "Oh, I gotta save Pepper," and I'm like, it's just it felt like rushed. Like you could have just said he could just have pressed a button and they would have all exploded. But no, he had to put it on a timer. Like I don't know. It felt a little weird. Um, yeah, it just felt like an anticlimactic ending to the whole
Felt like it
thing.
was a
But like
plot device in motion. This is how they get
yes,
away because they put it on a timer.
yes. But
Because of course they put it on a timer.
I love the scene right after though when Tony and Pepper's having a panic attack and
Mm-hmm.
she's like, I can't do this, I can't do this, and he's like, what do you mean? I think we're fine. And then they share a romantic kiss and stuff like that, and then Rhodey's in the back. That's hilarious. Rhodey's like, what does he say? He's like, I thought you guys looked like two
Two
seagulls like
dinosaurs or
fighting.
something like, yeah, two
Yeah,
seals or
fighting
something.
over
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
yeah.
And then Tony's like, and Rhodey's like, yeah, I'm gonna have to borrow the suit, and he's like, uh, you didn't ask to, or you didn't ask me if it was okay, and he's
It
like,
wasn't a question. What did he say? It
it
wasn't
wasn't
a
a question,
request or something.
it wasn't a request, and then he flies away. That's an awesome way to show that like Rhodey is War Machine. That suit ain't Tony's anymore. That's
Mm-hmm.
Rhodey's.
Mm-hmm.
Like Rhodey is War Machine. And I think he does such a great job as War Machine too. But yeah, overall, there's there's so many great things, but I think it just gets this movie's a glue movie for Iron Man to the Avengers and Thor to the Avengers and the Incredible Hulk to the Avengers, Captain
Mm-hmm.
America to the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
But what I have a hard time with is this movie's own plots don't have glue to themselves. So like they don't blend well together
That's a
or
very good
really.
point. That's a very good point. And yeah, that's very true. That's a very good point, Jordan. You scored one, buddy. That's a very good point. Damn it. Now I gotta score one, and I don't think I have one to score. I don't think I do. I tell you what, man. I really enjoyed the whole Another One Bites the Dust. It Takes Two to Think.
Yes.
I love that remix. I've tried to go online and find it because I thought it was like a whole song, but it's only like 2 minutes. You can't but I'd really love to hear like the complete mix of that because that was dope. And they were going at it.
Mhm.
That was a big brother, little brother. I'm about to whoop your ass. I love that scene. Like that's
Mhm.
and let's get into favorite scenes, man. I think we skipped that, but
Mhm.
that was dope, as they say. Let me see if I can find it. So I love that scene. I like the Monaco race attack just because clearly Banco just doesn't have any F's to give. Like
Mhm.
for you to attack somebody, just Jordan, think about it. There's no way in here. I wouldn't even walk on a track where cars are driving 200 miles an hour because understand if they touch you, you're in the afterlife.
Yeah.
At 200 miles an hour, if you just get touched by that car, you probably don't have a leg. Like it's, you know what I mean? And he just walks on there just as bold and audacious as he wants to be and starts wham with no fear. And then he turns his back to these cars after he destroys one. It's just like, wow, dude, you gotta. So it makes sense that he would, as you say, off himself
Mhm.
because I don't think he really had anything to live for. I think he was only living for revenge. I
Yeah.
do. I like how it starts hidden message. I like the fact that Man and War Machine teamed up. I also like the fact that they fought. I thought it was cool. The Senate hearing was it for me. Like that was the funniest. I love that, man. Where he's like, "Hey, let me take control of these cameras." Okay. Yeah, this is Korea. This is Iran. Oh, wait, that's Hammer Tech right there. And he's like, by the way, that pilot was not hurt. It's just
Mhm.
that was funny, man. That was I enjoyed that. Those were my favorite scenes. Is there any scene I didn't call out in here that
Um,
you really liked? You were really digging?
my My favorite scene is there's two that are my favorite scenes. They're kind of like tied. Black Widow's hallway fight is
Oh
incredible. I'm
yeah.
a sucker for hallway fights. Like when we get to Daredevil, when we get to Punisher, or when we get to all these different Spider-Man's gonna have one. I'm a sucker for those. And this is the first one. This is when you're watching this chronologically, Black Widow has the first hallway fight scene, and she does a fantastic job for it. And it ends up like being a domino effect into like hallway fight scenes for characters who don't necessarily have powers, or they do have powers, but it's like not as big as like Captain America or Iron Man or Thor. But I love that fight scene, and especially how it ends where she's like walking off straight and this guy comes up to like continue to fight her, and then she just pepper sprays him, like not even looking in his direction, and then just keeps walking. um Also the final fight scene, with just in general the whole fight with Rhodey, Tony, and all the bots.
Hmm.
I that specifically, not necessarily the one with Ivan,
Right.
but that specifically, I really love that scene. Um, Not necessarily my favorite scene, but a scene I want to point out because it ends up being foreshadowed later into future movies. Um, Ivan says when Ivan gets arrested, right? He says, if you could make God bleed, people cease to believe in him.
Yes, he did.
And guess what? That circles all the way to Avengers Infinity War
Yeah.
when Tony makes Thanos bleed. And if you make God bleed, people would cease to believe in him. And and Thanos replies after he cuts him across the face and says, "All that for a drop of blood."
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
such it is so like when he says that, and the first time I saw this and anytime I seen this movie pre-Infinity War, I and even after Infinity War I would go back to this movie. I didn't really get it, but then I got it like after Endgame came out. And I remember seeing this and I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, what? I don't even get what you just said. But, and honestly, they didn't plan that scene to show up later.
Right.
They didn't plan that. In Infinity War, they did, the Russo brothers didn't care that much. Kevin Feige didn't care that much. There's no way. I'll bet money on that. I would, if Kevin Feige said, yeah, we planned, yeah, that was planned, I would be like, you're lying, bro. There's no way you actually think that. Um, but it is such a cool scene to go back to, knowing what we know in Infinity War.
I think that's a
Um,
great call out on your part. Dude, you are showing out tonight. Like that is too. You are on fire tonight, bro. You need to play the lottery tonight, bro. You are on. Because I would never have connected that, but you are absolute. Because he does say in fact, he does say all that for a drop of blood. You're
mhm,
right. So that was
mhm,
awesome, Jordan. I didn't think about that. The only thing I can think about is the whole femme fatale thing with, like you say, they sexualized her, but that is a part of her character. She is very much a sexual, audacious film because she's a spy, basically. And so a lot of them have to use that. And just the way she talks to Tony is a very, how should I put this? It's very sexually suggestive. It's calm, it's cool, but she will make phrases that could be interpreted in two ways. Like she lives in entendres. She's very, very. I don't want suggestive would be a word. Okay, she's her character because I think that is a natural part of her is to use her attractiveness against whoever her target is.
mhm,
So if he needs to see a subservient sexual being, that's exactly who he's going to see until it's time for her to show him who she really is. Matter of fact, he even says to her, I can't get a read on you. Because remember, What do you need? I will get you whatever you need. Is that what you need? Okay. She's very, I don't want to say subservient, but she's very, what's
She
the
gets into character. I mean, she's basically being an actor
right,
in that
she is.
scene.
Because that's the opposite of who she is. But
Yeah.
she's very, what's the word? Submissive to him. Very,
She
very,
like pretends to be, yeah.
yes, very submissive and suggestive. And when it comes out who she really is, that's interesting. But that's a large part of her character because when she interviews, is it Loki in Avengers?
Yes.
And she plays him. She's like, oh, so it's the Hulk you want? Got it. And he doesn't recognize it because he starts monologuing and feeling like, oh, I'm this big dude and she's this
Hmm.
little bitty woman. So that's a part of her character is to project what you need to see in order to extract information. And I thought she did a great job of that. So she was sexualized, but not in the way in which most think, because that is a part of her character. Like if this were um Storm doing this, that'd be out of character for her, right? Or any other Marvel character that I can think of. I can't, I wouldn't see you would never see Wanda doing this. But
I will say, I think everything you are saying is right. Every single thing you said is right. The dialogue is why it works.
yeah.
It's an issue for me is like, remember when remember when Tony is like Googling her
Mhm.
and you see the seductive photos, let's
Mhm.
call them. I don't know what the heck those. I even going back and watching them, I'm like, why are the. I think he actually no. I think he says it was a part of like a photo shoot or something.
Mhm. Mhm.
But like, what? Like, why did you need that in the movie?
You didn't.
Why? Why did you need her undressing in the back of the car and while Happy's driving? John Favreau, you're the director, bro. Like you're as bad as Guillermo del Toro in some of his movies with his foot fetish. Um, but like there are parts of it where I'm like, yeah, this is exactly who Black Widow is. What you're exactly saying. Then there's parts of it where I'm like, why do you need that? That's where like I see what they could have done right
Mhm.
or what they did do right, but there are things they did wrong,
Okay.
and they don't repeat this mistake in any other future movie.
Okay.
I think I the nope, never mind. There's one movie that's Age of Ultron. Screw you, Joss Whedon. Um, Joss Whedon's just a terrible human being whatsoever.
Oh, where
Um,
Hulk ends up
yeah,
landing on her. Yeah. Yeah.
and he repeats that same exact scene in his version of Justice League.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I hate this dude so much. But yeah, she doesn't like in Winter Soldier, in the Avengers, in Infinity War, in Endgame, in Civil War, or in her own movie, which I'm so glad she got her own movie. I can't wait for us to get to that movie because that, like the Incredible Hulk, I have very strong opinions about Black Widow. That I think it is a good movie. I just think
I
it
do
came out
too. I do
at the
too.
wrong time.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
it
the timing of it. I think the time.
came out way too late.
Because I was upset that they killed. Like that really
Yeah,
upset me, man. Like I'm not gonna lie, bro. That end game was tough, bro. That was
yeah.
that was tough.
But they don't do this in future movies, and I appeat that.
Pour
That's
out
something
some for
I
your homies.
appreciate.
Pour out some for the dead Avengers. Here we go, right here. That was tough, man. Wanda, Iron Man. Who else did that? Was it one more person? I want to say I can't think of who else.
Well, Captain America retired,
That's right,
so
he
I mean,
did. Golly, man, that was such a that was. If ever there was a movie to end a series on where it was that movie. That was just great, man. That was just great. Oh man, just the way everything ended up, and that was just that was great. Anyway, whatever. I'm about to get emotional. Okay, so you gave it a 5.5. And that's fair. I thought you'd give it a 6, but I knew you weren't going to give it over a 7 because I knew you didn't like it. So I'm glad to see that in working with you long enough. I've kind of deduced. I can pretty much tell what you're going to give a movie if you like it or not. I'm
I
pretty
initially
much.
gave it a 4. I That was my initial
I believe
little
it. I
thing.
believe
It
it.
was a 4. Like I just didn't. I thought it didn't work, but there are worse movies than this.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm going to recommend this, but only to a specific group of people.
Hmm.
Um, like I think this works for some people. I just and initially I would have said no, but there are movies and shows that are going to be worse.
Woo. All right. Well, with that being said, man, let's go ahead and transition to the Hulk. I know you are super excited about this movie because I know you
Mhm.
love it. So,
Mhm.
let's get into it, man. Hulk 2008. I really enjoyed this one. I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I ended up enjoying it,
Mhm.
just because, it was. I guess I've gotten used to the what's the guy's name? Mark. What's the guy's name?
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, I've gotten used to Mark Ruffalo, but I gotta admit, man, Hulk 2008, Ed Norton was pretty good, man. Ed Norton is a thespian, sir. He is a great actor. What I liked about him the most in this movie is the little subtle moments. I think he does those really well. The
Mhm.
little subtle moments that nobody talks about where you're transitioning from this to that. I think he does that really well. And that's the case here. But let's get into it, man. 2008 director was Louis Leterrier. I hope I didn't butcher that. Kevin Feige was a producer. Release date was June 13th, 2008. Budget was 150 million. Box office was 264 million. Yeah. Honestly, I think that's why after this movie, we no longer see the Hulk in solo projects. Whenever we see the Hulk, he's always in some sort of tandem or buddy movie because I think what they have deduced is that Hulk works better, this character works better if he's in somebody else's movie or if he's partnered with someone. Uh,
And I hate that so much too, because there are a lot of people who believe that, and while I just don't think that anyone's gotten the character right. I like this movie, and I like Mark Ruffalo's Hulk. I like Eric Bana's Hulk. I like the old Hulk shows and movies.
hmm
I mean, I grew up like waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning, and then there's the Incredible Hulk playing,
Lou
and sometimes it
Ferrigno,
scared me. Yeah, Lou Ferrigno.
who's in
And
this movie, by the way.
yes. And what's funny is he's been in every single Hulk movie. He's even in Hulk 2003, I think that movie came out.
Mm,
Um, but the one thing I don't think they've gotten the character completely right. And the one movie that I think got it right was the animated movies that came out right before this.
hmm
Because they made the Hulk a problem.
hmm
And in the comics, he's a problem.
He is a problem.
And I love that interpret. In fact, that's my favorite interpretation of the Hulk in all of media is that those animated movies right before the MCU came out, because that Bruce Banner, he has so much anxiety
He's
and he's
tortured.
scared.
He's a
He's
tortured soul.
yes,
He is a tortured
yes,
soul. And they did a
and
great job of doing that in the original show. Because in a
yes.
lot of times, the saddest thing ever was that music that they'd play at the end of the episode when he's
Mhm,
walking after he's torn up. Like, this guy is a tortured soul because half the time he wakes up, he doesn't know what he did. He knows he
mhm,
tore some shit up, but that's about it. And you
mhm,
see him with these tattered clothes and oh, that music was so sad. And they had a scene like that in this one where I think he's leaving Colombia or whatever southeastern country he was
mhm.
in. South American country he was in. I'm sorry. Um, and he's walking, and he's got I think just a shirt on, but they do a great job of capturing the aftermath of one of these episodes, right?
Hmm.
And you see him and you see that he's ashamed, you see that he's unsure, like what did I do? You see that he's really, this is a man that doesn't want to possess this rage. He doesn't want to, he is the polar opposite of his character. He is not given to rage, he is not given to anger. So for him to do that is going against who he is, and he is a tortured soul. So anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, and no, what you're saying makes, in my opinion, this movie is the closest we get to that interpretation.
Yeah.
But in those movies, the Hulk is relentless,
Hmm.
and and that's what I love about the Hulk is when he's relentless,
Right.
because I want to be terrified of him. And this movie gets the closest to that. But there's no other source of media that I think does it quite like that animated show does it. Or those animated movies, and they make it so that you feel for Bruce, and like someone needs to make a Hulk movie, and Universal Studios, you're literally the studio that started this crap. Those old monster movies from the beginning of the 20th century, of the vampire, werewolf, you got Dracula, werewolf, the mummy, all of that, you could have done the exact same thing with the Hulk. Do that interpretation of the Hulk, where you see two sides of the same coin. I
Hmm.
mean, that you see that like that frustratingly, the anxiety, everything that you see in Bruce Banner, and then you see the monster. You could have done that.
Hmm.
You literally own all of that Universal Studios.
Hmm.
I don't understand you. And you had the blueprint laid out. We have we have you have a century's worth of content off of those original movies.
Hmm.
Frankenstein also.
Hmm.
And you could have you literally could have just pulled that and done that.
Hmm.
And that's how we got the Hulk, was Stan Lee was inspired by Frankenstein. And
I did not
uh
know that. I did not know that.
it's loosely inspired. Just the idea that a person can and be a monster but also a nice person
Hmm.
like Bruce Banner and the Hulk. But you could have done that. And I've never seen that done well except for in that animated show and comic storylines,
Hmm.
obviously. But and I think the closest we get to that into the MCU with Mark Ruffalo is in Age of Ultron, where he goes nuts and
Hmm.
Wanda ticks him off, and I was that's probably the most excited I've ever been of the Hulk in with Mark Ruffalo. I just in general have not had that much excitement with him. Um, Even in like I can't wait for us to get to Ragnarok, because I have strong opinions about Ragnarok that tend to disagree with a lot of people on. I like the movie a lot, but not as much as everybody else. Um, and I think it also doesn't help the character of Hulk all that much, and it ended up not helping Thor all that much. Um, but yeah, this interpretation of the character um, is probably the closest we get to the animated movies, which I love. But yeah, I mean, yeah, if you wanted my opinion on what I would do with a Hulk movie, that's exactly what I would do. I would do basically an old school monster movie, where you just feel bad for the guy the entire time. I want him to be anxiety filled, and and the entire time. Also, like we don't need. I mean, I feel like Betty is now a crutch in every Hulk project, and I don't like that. Um, because you don't need Betty Ross in order to make a good Hulk movie. You can do other things, and like I said, with different interpretations.
Yeah. Yeah. I think in the beginning, specifically with the Avengers, there's a bit of that. There's a bit of that unknown, like, especially when he first turns into the Hulk on the ship, and Black Widow's there, and she starts running, and then when he beats up on Thor a little bit, and then of course when he beats up on Loki, and Loki's like, "I'm a god," and he boom, 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 boom. Oh, that's one of my favorite scenes in Avengers, where he just like boom, 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 puny god, and throws it. That was funny. Um, but I think in those first iterations they did try and do that. Um, so I don't know, but yeah, in this one we truly see man and beast and the separation. Um, and again, Bruce Banner is on the run after a gamma radiation experiment turns him into the Hulk. Whenever his heart rate spikes while hiding in Brazil, Bruce searches for a cure while pursued by General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. Ross empowers Emil Blonsky with a variant of the syrup, creating the Abomination. Bruce ultimately embraces the Hulk to stop the monster and save Harlem. And I forgot that what's his name? Not the Thinker, dude with the big head. Is it the Thinker? What's his name? It's
The leader.
the
Leader.
leader. Yeah, I forgot he was in there.
Mhm.
I did that. Yeah, Captain America: Brave New World was basically Hulk 2 from that, because
Yes.
a lot of those plot lines were resolved. The only thing that was missing was the Hulk.
Yeah.
But anyway,
And that's they force that so much because and I feel bad for
Anthony
Anthony
Mackie.
Mackie.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like give him an actual villains and stuff and not just recycled characters. Like it just felt like leftovers. That's what Brave New World felt like was just a bunch of sometimes you have leftovers and sometimes they're really good. But just in general in that movie it just felt like leftovers from this movie.
Mm. Okay. Um, what this movie's really about. At its core, The Incredible Hulk is about control versus acceptance. It asks whether suppressing who you are causes more damage than confronting it. Unlike other MCU origins, this story is about a man who already is the monster and must decide whether to keep running or finally take responsibility for the destruction around him. And that's very true. That's very true. But I like the way they did that. It's interesting. He's got his escape route already planned out, right? So soon as they show up on the scene, he's like, "All right, I got to get out of here." Da 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 da. Turns into the Hulk. But they really do a good job of playing the fact that these are two separate personalities. One is really not aware of the other. They are, but they really aren't. Um, and you really see that in this iteration. Bruce Banner begins as a man defined by fear and avoidance. By the end, he stops seeing the Hulk as a curse and starts viewing it as a force that must be managed, not erased. Blonsky represents obsession with power without restraint. General Ross embodies militarized fear and authority without empathy. Yeah, General Ross hated him. Now, to be
Mhm.
fair, if my daughter were dating Bruce Banner and the Hulk did to her, by accident or not, what he did to Betty Ross, I'd be pretty angry. I don't know that I'd go to those extents that General Ross did, because General Ross clearly hates him and needed to step away for a second. Like the stuff that he does in pursuit of Banner is darn near tantamount to war crimes. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Give me your thoughts on that though. Any other character arcs we missed? Like, give me your thoughts.
I mean, I will say I don't think Betty has quite the character arc. I think she's just kind of I feel like the movies use her as a plot device.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel. Like an emotional plot device, and I don't like it. Look, I've said, I love little romance movies and stuff like that. You can definitely make a great Hulk movie with this. And there are scenes in this movie where I see and I'm like, oh, I love that. Like the cave scene, love that whole scene because we see the Hulk out and he's angry. He's yelling at the lightning and the thunder, and but but the Hulk cares for Betty, and and I love that. I love to see that. I love to see both Bruce and her on the run. I love seeing
I
all of
like
that.
I like the scene where they see each other for the first time, and she
Yes,
gets
that's
out of
such
the
a great
car and
scene.
runs to him, and he runs to because you know you. It's funny we see her with her new bow, and I'm like, because again it'd been a while since I saw this, so I'm like, oh, okay, well that's out. You know, it was like my first thought, like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, well that's out. And as soon as she sees him, she hears nothing else. And I tell you what was interesting about it. The guy that she's dating, I can't remember his name, but he understood.
Yeah.
Like to me, he's a lot more empathetic than most guys would be, because
Yes.
most guys would be like, whatever, you can have her. But when General Ross goes to him, he's like, well, I see why she didn't want to deal with you. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? And I'm like, that's very mature of him. Like, dude, she left you to run with Banner, but you're still not gonna drop that, even whether he knew or not. I don't think he would have told General Ross, but he's very empathetic, and I guess because what he says to him is he protected her, right? So we're obviously talking about the scene where, um, Betty's in the field or whatever park they're at, and these dudes run up on Banner and turns into the Hulk, and when they fire whatever bullets or weapons at the Hulk, he's with her, and he turns around and protects her. And as a matter of fact, I think they launched a bomb or something that caught on fire, and he protected her. So, if it were me, I might have left it there. Of course, General Ross doesn't. But I just thought, that's very mature of that young man to be like, they're on the run, but he protected
Hmm.
her, and maybe you should just let this go, and maybe I can see why she doesn't hang around you. And he just looks at him like, this man took your woman, what the hell? Because he only knows one way, right? He only sees one way or one path to victory, and that's domination. So I don't know.
Yep.
um Themes: control versus acceptance, scientific ethics, militarization of power, rage and repression, and responsibility without recognition. And I think you saw a little bit of this in Iron Man as well, where they wanted to take his suit and use it as a weapon. They definitely want to take the Hulk's strength and aggression and use it. And I think Bruce even says to the leader that they want to take this and use it, and we're not going to let them do it. And I think that is also a large piece of this movie, is that not only is he running to stay away, but he's running to prevent them from getting this serum and making Hulks, because Bruce knows what that comes with, and he doesn't really want to do that to anybody else. Give me your thoughts on that, Jordan.
Well, I think this movie does a great job tying in Captain America, which would come out after this movie with the super soldier serum,
Mm-hmm.
and like that that Bruce was working on the serum and trying to replicate it, and that's what led to him being the Hulk. And so it like worked, but it's a curse now.
Yeah.
Like this is his curse now
Yeah.
that he has. And I like the idea that General Ross wants to not kill he doesn't want to kill him. He wants to
Mm-mm.
use him.
Right.
And that's why it's so cool later on when General Ross is like, if you took it from me, you were going away to prison for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's so devious. I like it. Um, this I love, yeah, I love the way they tie in the super soldier serum into this whole thing, and like that conversation that Amon Blonsky has with General Ross about the super soldier serum. Well, that's now twice in the same year. In the first two movies of the MCU, they both hint at Captain America as a great way of setting up Captain America, because you see the prototype shield. So we're like, and it's such a small thing. You see it, you might not see it. And then in this scene, in this movie, I mean, there's a deleted scene also where he's going through Antarctica, or he's going to, yeah, somewhere. I think I don't remember. I think it's the Arctic, and to off himself, Bruce is trying to doing, and you see like something shooting out of the ice, and that's apparently Captain America, but I'm sure that's a deleted scene. But just tying in the whole super soldier serum, that this is based, and I think that's why they did Captain America Brave New World the way they did it, is because they are trying to tie it into the Incredible Hulk 2, but I just don't think it worked. But in this movie, that's how you world build, is just simple stuff like that. By introducing us to the super soldier serum in the Incredible Hulk and that little shield in Iron Man, we know Captain America is right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I love the way this movie does like little hints at little things like that. But in terms of themes, I mean, I this movie doesn't have too many themes that are stand out necessarily. This is
Mm-hmm.
stereotypical, the Incredible Hulk stuff, control and chaos, fear of power, and just scientific ethics, all of that. Um, and it's the same things that are repeated from 2003 Hulk movie,
Mm-hmm.
which here's an interesting thing about the Incredible Hulk. Um, this was initially a sequel to that movie. They had like Hulk came out in 2003 ish, and that was an okay. It was very mixed reviews just because of the style and stuff like that. The reason we're not rewatching that movie specifically is because there is no connection to anything whatsoever. I'm sure they could connect it in Secret Wars or in Doomsday, but as of now, no. Um, but yeah, in that movie we had Eric Bana as Bruce, um, and it kind of goes through the same process as this movie in terms of just its themes. But yeah, this was supposed to be a sequel, and they were gonna call it The Incredible Hulk. That like everything, the script is gonna involve the abomination, like everything you see in this movie, and especially the way this movie plays out, because it doesn't play out like an origin story. It plays out like a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
But this is how you do it a first movie right without an origin story. Because you hint at like how he got his powers in the opening credits. And that's all you needed to do. I really like it because it's simple and it gets to the point, and we want to know where's Bruce at right now. And that's exactly what we do with this movie. Um, and it feels like if you were to go back and watch Hulk 2003 and then watch this movie, it feels like a sequel.
It does.
It feels like they blend really well together. Um, which is why that storyline, everything about it was brought to this movie. It's just at that time, Marvel Studios was trying to build the Avengers,
Mm.
and they're like, "All right, we're gonna do a soft reboot. We're gonna take your script idea, but we're gonna make it for our Hulk movie. We're not gonna connect it to Hulk 2003." And I love Hulk 2003 for a multitude of reasons. I have a lot of action figures growing up from when I was a kid. I had the Hulk fists. I love them. I bought my cousins them for their birthday. I'm gonna do the same thing with my other cousins. I'm getting all my little cousins that are like 3, 4 years old. I'm getting them all Marvel stuff, and I'm gonna get them Hulk
My
gloves.
son had the Hulk
Cocaine.
fist. He had one of them.
Yeah,
I think he
yeah.
lost the other one, or I don't know, but he definitely had it. We had so much fun with that Hulk fist.
I love them. I love them.
I
And then
did.
when Fantastic Four came out, they came out with Thing hands too. Oh, they were
I didn't know
incredible.
about that.
They
I
did.
did
That's
not.
a
I did
neat.
not. I did not catch that. Okay.
I wanted them so bad because I'm like, oh, I could have the Hulk and the Thing. That would be cool. But yeah, that was. I love the Hulk 2003 movie, and then this movie. Yeah, I had action figures. I had Abomination. I had the Incredible Hulk in this. I loved this movie. When this movie initially came out, I loved it. It was incredible. But then as I got older, I'm like, this movie actually sucks. But that when I was a teenager, I was like, this movie sucks. But now that I'm older than that, I'm like, I can appreciate this movie for what it did. And also, it's a Hulk movie at the end of the day. It's my mom's favorite superhero or supervillain is the Hulk. And we went and saw Hulk 2003 when I was 3 years old. I don't remember it, obviously. But I remember seeing this movie. This was the first movie I remember wanting to see of the MCU because I knew this movie was coming out. I didn't care about Iron Man. I knew I wanted to see Big Green Monster. That's what I wanted to see.
Big Green
And
Monster.
yes, and I got that. And that's exactly why I loved it, and that's why I like it to this day.
Big Green Monster. I tell you what's interesting. Normally, an origin story that doesn't have an origin
hmm
is a mortal sin for you, and
hmm
it
I
typically
think
means a bad review.
oh,
Why is
I
it?
think they did it right. I
Yeah,
think they did
what
it
what
right.
what is it? What is it about? Because I've seen you. I don't want to say go off, but I've seen you not really like some movies and rate them accordingly. What is it about this movie that where they got it right?
Because so most of the time when they do the first standalone film that's
Hmm.
not an origin story, like
Hmm.
let's say Robert Pattinson's The Batman, when we do the new Superman movie that came out, Spider-Man Homecoming, that's another example. They they don't there are different iterations of how people got their powers,
Hmm.
right? There are different iterations how they grew up, how like Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and Tom Holland Spider-Man all got their powers in different ways, but in the same way, like the same way physically, but they got to that point differently than the others. And with the Hulk, they tell us all of it throughout the film without us knowing it. And I mean, they open up, like I said, they open up with how he got his power, showing us like the actual sequence. And the only question is like, why was he doing that? But they tell us throughout this film that it was because of the super soldier serum,
Okay.
and because of the super soldier serum, that's how he got this way. So after that, we don't need to know anything else. I
Okay.
mean, yeah, maybe we would have liked to have seen like what Bruce and Betty's relationship was like, but we already got that in little small moments in the opening credits where they just look at each other. It's the way they look at each other.
Hmm.
Liv Tyler plays. I'm pretty sure Liv Tyler plays Betty in this, and
She's
Liv
so
Tyler
fine.
does a great job as Betty.
She's so fine.
Um, and they just there's simple things in this movie that's how you do an origin story, because like I don't know how Robert Pattinson's Batman got to be this way. Like I don't know how his parents died. Like he seems a lot darker than the other or Bruce Wayne's, not necessarily Batman's but Bruce Wayne's. I think
Yeah.
he seems a little bit more edgier.
Mm.
um with Toby Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland Spider-Man's, Toby got his powers just being on a school trip,
Hmm.
versus Andrew Garfield's was sneaking into a building trying to look for answers for his parents and stuff like that, and he just so happened to be bit by a spider.
Hmm.
And Tom Holland's, we don't see that, and
Okay.
that's frustrating because there could be a ton of ways he could have gotten his powers. And the show, the friend Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the animated show, I have not watched it outside of the first episode, just because when it comes to animated shows, I take a while to watch them, especially when you tell me it's not even connected to anything.
The unit.
Even though when they show it in timeline order for the MCU, they clearly say like this is a different universe, and I'm like, all right, well then how the heck does this even connect to anything else? You could put out a show of like Blue's Clues and throw it in the timeline then and say that it works. Like that doesn't that no, that's not how things work. That's not how multiverse works. Like so like he got his powers differently than Tom Holland's Spider-Man than Andrews and Toby's. But again, how did Tom Holland's Spider-Man get his powers? That's what's frustrating about that.
Why am
There's
I seeing Blues Clues in Doomsday now? Thank you for that, Jordan. Thank you
yeah,
so much. I I,
Blue's
I
Clues.
appreciate that. Why?
You're welcome.
Why? Anyway,
And Steve from Blue's Clues, I follow him on Instagram. He's
what?
such a motivational dude. Like I grew up on Blue's Clues. I love Blue's Clues to death, and yeah, I love Steve. Steve's a part of my was part of my childhood, and he's part of my adulthood. Um, but no, um,
Oh boy!
with
Defend
this,
it, Jordan. Defend it. That's right. Damn it. We
but
should
yeah,
see him
this,
in Doomsday.
but yeah, they just they tell us his origins
Mm,
without overcomplicating things.
okay.
And I really appreciate this way of doing it. I don't know what other movies necessarily like in I don't Thor's a little weird because like he's a god in himself. So like, how do you do an origin story
On a god.
for? Yeah, so you almost need to see what he was like growing up and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just kind of hard to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Ant-Man kind of plays that way where it's like it's an origin story for Paul Rudd's Ant-Man, but he's only the second iteration
Right.
of Ant-Man. That's like doing like that's like inherently doing let's say we never got Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland's live action Spider-Mans. Let's say we have never had a live action Spider-Man and you start with Miles Morales getting his powers from Peter Parker dying. We're like, "Wait, then who's Peter Parker then?"
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Like
a good point.
like who was the first iteration of Ant-Man then?
Mm-hmm.
And he had and his wife was the Wasp. Like I want to know those. I want to know Hank Pym.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't need to do that. This is they do it so simple and to the point, and I love it. This is how you do a movie that's just throwing us in the middle of things. I love it.
Okay. All right. That's. I can dig it, man. I can dig it. Peak moment. The Harlem Battle remains one of the MCU's most brutal and physical fights.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they got after it, man. They
Yes.
got. I tell you what was interesting was Hulk's about to kill him because Hulk has had enough. And Betty's like, no, no. And I thought they did a very good job of the Hulk kind of acquiescing, but still being the Hulk, like, ah, man, I really want to kill this dude because he thought about it and he lets out a roar because he really wants to kill him. He's like, damn it, Betty. You know what I mean? Um, I just think I thought what I thought Ed Norton did well is the scenes with Betty where he didn't come out and say I love you, but in every movement, in his tone, in his way he spoke to her, in every way that he could, he's oozing I love you to her.
Hmm.
And she to him. And I think Ed Norton is such a great actor. Um just a the way he goes about his characters from the Hulk to what's that movie you hate that I love where
Oh,
he
American History X.
American History X.
Which the next day after we talked about that, I turn on the TV and it's on
Did
at
you
the
watch
worst possible time.
did you
I
watch
did
it?
not. I and at the curb stomping scene, at the curb
Oh
stomping scene,
wow. Oh
at
yeah.
that
Okay.
scene, and I
That
was
was
like,
tough.
really?
That
I
was
was like,
tough.
really? This is really
That was tough.
what's gonna be on? Yeah, yeah.
That was
And then I go through TikTok. Guess what's getting suggested to me? American History
History
X.
X, yeah.
They're listening. They're listening.
They
You
are
know,
listening.
if they're listening, I'd like a Camaro, a yellow Camaro with two black racing stripes. Same one from Transformers 2007.
Bumblebee?
Anyway,
You want
Bumblebee.
Bumblebee?
That's my dream car. That's my dream car.
My aunt had that. She had a yellow, and God bless her. She's suffering with a little bit of dementia now, but she's one of my favorite aunts. She used to babysit me when I was one, and my cousin was in her belly and pregnant, and so we've always been close. But she had a '67 Shelby,
Mm-hmm.
yellow Mustang, black stripe. Oh, that thing was beautiful. Oh man, it was. I You know what, and I don't know why she sold the car. I know she regrets it now. But that thing was, it was beautiful, man. And you turn that thing on, you talk about an engine, Jordan. Vroom, like you hear it. I mean, it's nothing like it. So yeah, man, that would be that would be great. That would be great. I don't blame you for that. That is
Yeah.
that's a beautiful car.
Dream
Um
car.
so yeah, let's talk about the criticism. Tonal inconsistency, limited emotional connection to Banner, and underutilized supporting cast. I'm not gonna say it was a limited support, a limited emotional connection to Banner, because I could really he's a tortured soul. I could understand that. I get that he's tortured, and I get that he's doing everything that he can. Number one, he's trying to find a cure, right? Like this whole thing starts with him. Oh, it failed again, and you see him really trying to do that because all he wants to do is get back to Betty. Like, to be honest with you, this is somewhat of a love story. I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
call it Romeo and Juliet, but it is somewhat of a love story in that when they see each other, to me, the movie shifts
Mm-hmm.
because everything in, like, we see him kiss the girl in Colombia or wherever he is. So I'm assuming they had some sort of thing going on, right? But he kisses her, when he's running away from the bad guys or whatever, and he
Yeah,
drops
yeah.
down in her place and
Yep.
he kisses her. Um, and she was not. I mean, hey man, Bruce, she was all right, man. She was decent. I
Good for
still love
Bruce.
you, Kim. I'm just saying, okay, just for the show, okay. You're my number one, Kim. Just saying.
We're rooting for our boy Bruce.
Bruce, hey man, Bruce was all right. Bruce was okay. So he kisses her or whatever and leaves. And I had forgotten this movie, so I'm thinking, oh, okay, he's moved on or whatever. But then when Bruce and Betty see each other, and it's not corny.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not the way that they do it. It's like she looks at him and he looks at her, and you can feel it. It's
Mm-hmm.
palpable, right? And they just run to each other. And it wasn't like oh, Johnny, I'm over the moon for you. Johnny, it wasn't like that 1940s campy, um, overemphasized love. This was a genuine pull on the soul. These souls are connected, and you can feel that. So I very much think a lot of this movie is an emotional connection to him because a part of him really loves her and is trying to get to her, but also a part of him is trying to protect her from the monster that he is. Because to your point, the way that they do this, he doesn't have control of the whole. He very much does not have control of the Hulk, right? They're two, they're different Hulks. There's Hulks that Banner is aware of Hulk, and Hulk is aware of Banner. But in this one, it feels like they're disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. Underutilized supporting cast. I don't know that I agree with that either because you know I don't know. I don't know that I agree with that. Give me your thoughts on that, Jordan.
Um, I think from a cast perspective, I think part of this has to do with like how this movie was developed behind the scenes because the directors and writers wanted one thing, Edward Norton wanted another thing, and Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios wanted another thing. And we got some sort of zombie creation of all three of those. I think mainly it had to do with the directors and stuff were not as heavily involved as they should have been. And so Edward Norton had to take over to fix this. And but he was like put into this position where he had to do rewrites. And he wanted to, because he wanted to make this movie work.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to make, and I appreciate that so much. In my opinion, I think Kevin Feige should have taken more of a backseat.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one time I think throughout the entire MCU's creation where I will disagree with Kevin Feige. Because you're beginning to start a universe, and so you can really do whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's not like there are many rules. Like the only rules are Iron Man exists.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And if you know what, if Kevin Feige could have said all to Edward, he could have been like, "All I need you to do is make plot points to Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
That's all." At which add in the serum, call it a day. Um, so I think there's a part of this movie somewhere, a script somewhere, that Edward Norton put together that would have made the actors and actresses. I think we would have felt a little bit more for the cast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, I think we do see that a little with Liv Tyler's uh, Betty. I think we see that a little um, with uh, Thunderbolt Ross, but I don't really care too much about Blonsky. I think he's just this dude hell bent on like being the best soldier in
Yeah. He
ever.
just wants power. He just wants power,
Yes.
and he's
So
addicted.
I don't really care for him all that much.
No,
Um,
definitely
I but I think there's a script somewhere where this works a lot better, and in my opinion, this could be a script that would make all the four original Avengers movies work great. Because I think Captain America works great. I think Thor is. We'll get to Thor. I have issues with Thor. And Iron Man's great, and I think this movie could have been great. Um, I think that there was stuff holding it back, and I believe Edward Norton was right on this. I think this is the first part of where Edward Norton wanted to make this more of dialogue sense. He wanted more dialogue, and uh, Kevin Feige wanted more action.
hmm
And I think there was enough action in here and enough dialogue in here. I think I think maybe there could have been a little bit more depth into the dialogue, though.
hmm
Otherwise, yeah, I believe Kevin Feige was wrong with this. And you know what? I would love to sit in a room with Edward Norton and Kevin Feige. In my opinion, Edward Norton is the last person I am likely to see in Secret Wars or Doomsday.
Oh, without
I
a doubt.
don't believe I will ever see him. But here's the thing. I also didn't think Jim Brown would ever show up in Madden ever again. And then he just shows up. For those who don't know, Jim Brown sued EA Sports because they used his like a quote that he said which wasn't about the game in their commercials.
hmm
So he sued them. The EA never used him in any of their content, so you could never play as him up until like Madden 20.
mm
And that was the last person I'd ever see. Now it's OJ Simpson for different reasons, completely different reasons. Which I would love to play as OJ Simpson. In fact, you can play as OJ in older Maddens,
I want to
but
crack this joke so bad, but I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna. I want to do it. There's a white Bronco joke somewhere, but I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I want to do it. I'm not gonna do it. But anyway, it'd
I
just
can
be
do it.
funny if there was like a white Bronco in the you know what I mean. If he showed
There,
at a game.
there was John Elway's in the game. Um, anyways,
Oh
um,
wow! Oh
anyways,
wow!
um, so I don't even remember where I was at. But anyways,
Oh
yeah.
wow! You are on fire tonight, buddy. Oh
Edward
wow! From
Norton,
way downtown. I gotta cut that out. Anyway, go ahead. I'm kidding. Go ahead. What you got?
Edward Edward Norton is the last person, just like Jim Brown. I didn't think would ever show up
hmm
in Madden. I also didn't think I'd ever see Wesley Snipes and Ryan Reynolds in the same movie ever
Now
again.
that is true,
That
especially when you
happened.
told me of what was going on at the time
Yes.
that they made Blade 3, which was an awful movie, by the way.
S-
Um,
So there's one thing, like he's the last Marvel character in any Marvel movie or show that I would ever I'm likely to see in Secret Wars or Doomsday.
I would agree with that.
But what percentage would I give that he's in the movie? It's not 0%. I'd probably say there's like a solid 12% chance that he's in the movie. No, let's do 7% chance. I think there's just like a 7% chance that he's actually in either one of those movies.
Mhm.
If he is, I really I really want Eric Bana's Hulk. I want if we're gonna get Maestro Hulk at any point in either one of those movies, I want it to be Eric Bana's Hulk. I don't want it to be Edward Norton's, but it would make a lot of sense based off of like uh how things ended that Edward Norton would be Maestro. I just think Eric Bana's Hulk looks like it could be a great Maestro. I've seen people do some edits of like Maestro Hulk with Eric Bana's Hulk, and I'm like, yeah, that works. Like this looks like I would love to see that. But yeah, I just don't think it's really likely that we will. Um, if we do, I wouldn't be shocked if. Have you ever seen Two and a Half Men, the
Yeah.
show?
Yes.
Did you ever see the finale
No, because I'm gonna be honest with you. I was so put
after
off by that Charlie Sheen. Did you see that Charlie Sheen interview?
I oh yeah. I mean I know the whole entire show front to back and everything behind the scenes that happened. Yeah. I remembered
That
it.
ended
I was
his that ended his career, and but
yeah.
that I let me tell you something. I was such a fan of the show
I
until
love the
I
show.
saw that interview.
Hmm.
That's and to be honest with you, that's why certain actors never do interviews, never, because the funny thing about that video is when that video started, you think okay he's joking, and 45 minutes into it, you realize this guy is serious,
Yeah.
and it becomes sad.
Hmm.
It becomes
Yeah, he had a
because
problem.
it's no longer it's no longer art imitating life. It's no longer art imitating life. It's this is who this guy really is.
Hmm. Yeah.
This is who this at the core. This is who this guy really is, and it was sobering. I'll never forget. I watched that video and I was like, my wife is not a big fan of Charlie Sheen in that show.
Yeah.
So I really didn't have anybody to be like, "Holy shit, did you see?" Like
Hmm.
I'm be honest with you, Jordan. I'm sitting there and I'm speechless watching this interview because the entire time in my brain I'm like, he can't be serious. Like, remember he was like he has these two women and he called them his goddesses, and one of them
Yeah.
he didn't know, and they were watching his kid, and it just kept getting
Yeah.
worse, right?
Hmm.
But prior to that, Jordan, I loved that show. Like, here's the thing: I wanted to be Charlie Sheen in another universe,
Hmm.
right? Before I saw that interview, and when I saw that interview, it was like, ew. And I don't know, I can't explain why. Because again, he is playing a fictitious character, so it's not like this was real. But after watching that video, it just felt wrong watching. Yeah, I can't explain it. I can't explain the way it's gonna make sense.
So you didn't watch any of the episodes with Ashton Kutcher in it after
I did, I did.
you did?
Yeah.
So, do you want me to spoil the finale
Go
for
ahead.
you?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Does he
So
die?
in the finale, so when Ashton Kutcher gets cast, comes in, it's
Mm-hmm.
right after Charlie's funeral. Well, Charlie survives that whole thing, but that whole time he's alive in Rose's basement, locked up. You don't see Charlie Sheen, but you just see like the back of his head and stuff like that. There's no dialogue or anything,
Right.
so they really don't really show him all that much. And the final scene of the whole show is uh his brother and Ashton Kutcher out on the deck awaiting for Charlie to show up and kill them. And Charlie rings the doorbell, and a piano drops right on a dummy of him. And then the camera pans out past the studio, past the stage, and you see the director, and he says, winning. And then a piano falls on him.
Oh wow.
And this is how I think Edward Norton's Hulk would show up if Kevin Feige wanted to play with heartstrings. You have him show up and immediately die.
Damn.
And that would be the biggest slap to people's faces because look, I think this is the best version of the Hulk in live action. I think this is the best Bruce Banner we have in live action.
Yes, I would
I
agree.
think this is the best overall Hulk we've ever had in live action. And to really just stab you right in the back, Kevin Feige would be like Edward Norton, we'll give you like $500,000 to show up for 5 seconds in this movie. Don't even have to say a line, but you die. That would be that I could see that happening. Please don't do that. If that happens, I'm coming back to this video. I'm gonna post it on all my social medias, and I'm gonna be like, I called this back in January of 2026.
It's 2026. Yeah, this is crazy, man. That's crazy. I don't know. That's funny. Winning. Now I gotta go watch it. God dang it, Jordan. You see what you did?
I love that show.
Oh.
It's a top 10 show for me
I
ever.
did. I did love that show, but I was so disenchanted when I saw that,
I get it.
but I don't get it because I don't know why. Because I realize it's a fictitious show, right?
Yeah.
So in a way that I am judging him, and I don't mean to judge him because I've not walked a mile in his shoes.
Mm-hmm.
But I was so disenchanted with the show. Like
Mm-hmm.
watching that interview, I was just like, ugh. It's akin to like going to your favorite restaurant and finding out that the master chef is on crack and doesn't wash his hands and just does nasty. You'd be like, the food is so good, but then you wouldn't want it anymore. I don't think you'd want it anymore. I don't know. But that's how I felt with Charlie Sheen. Like this is, oh man, I don't know. Anyway, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
10 things we didn't know. Ed Norton rewrote large portions. Okay, we knew that. It was inspired heavily by The Fugitive. Now that I did not know, but that makes sense.
That
Uh,
makes total sense now that I'm thinking about it.
yeah.
Like I look, when I saw The Fugitive for the first time like a year and a half ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I loved it. I was like, this movie's great.
Mm-hmm.
Where was I? What was I missing? I think I gave it like a 9 or a 9.5 out of 10. And then that makes total sense. I can totally see that, but I don't think that was Edward Norton's idea. I think that was Kevin Feige and the director's ideas.
That's fair. That makes sense. Lou Ferrigno voiced the Hulk. Stark Industries was referenced early. Harlem was chosen for the grounded realism. Deleted Banner and Betty scenes. First MCU recast controversy. Obviously, well, I don't know if they're talking about going to Ed Norton from Banner or going from to Ed Norton from Banner. I'm sorry, or going from Ed Norton to Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, definitely Ruffalo. So, Ruffalo is actually the second person that they wanted to play Bruce Banner in this movie. That's why he was the first to get the call. So, it wasn't after this movie that, like right after this movie, that they wanted to recast him. When they were getting everyone together to like plan out the Avengers, when they were getting Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, uh, Edward Norton, Robert Downey Jr., they were getting everybody together to like talk over like what was going to be going on with this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody has any idea what was said in this conversation, but in this conversation is with like Kevin Feige, some of the producers of Marvel Studios, the actor, and the actor's agents or agency. And during this conversation, I don't know if there was a fight or just a verbal altercation or what, but like Kevin Feige immediately went to social media, like saying like, uh, we will be going. Didn't mention Edward Norton in any way. He said we will be going forward with with a recasted Hulk, because we want our actors to like follow um a certain set of guidelines that we feel that the previous actor uh didn't didn't do appropriately. Like he basically called him out,
Hmm.
and that that was like, okay, like that's pretty crazy thing to say. Um, but yeah, I think what like, and I personally don't think he would work in the Avengers, especially
No,
with Joss Whedon directing. But Joss Whedon directing, I couldn't see Edward Norton in that movie.
that'd be a
Um,
physical fight.
yeah,
That'd be
like
a
they're
physical
two
fight.
polar opposite types of
Hmm.
like people when it comes to movies.
Hmm.
So, um, I, I would it would have been very interesting to see Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man interact with Edward Norton's Bruce Banner,
Hmm.
because I think they would have worked well together. Um, I'd be very curious to see how Chris Evans as Captain America would interact with him, because I don't think they would interact very. I think they would be kind of different. Um, but yeah, that's they. It was right before they were starting the Avengers,
Mm.
and we didn't find out Mark Ruffalo was gonna be the Hulk until Comic Con, and and he comes up on stage with Joss Whedon and the entire cast, and he's like, "You're Avengers," and I mean, I understand why they did it. I was frustrated when they did it because I'm like, really? And at that time, I found out Andrew Garfield was going to become Spider-Man, and Tobey Maguire was going to be recast, and they canceled Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 4. So in like 2011ish, I thought I was at my lowest of lows with comic book movies. I thought this isn't going to get any
Oh,
worse.
wow.
And in my opinion, I don't
Goodbye,
think it
cruel
ever got
world.
worse. I don't think it ever got worse than that, because I thought them recasting would ruin the Avengers. And I thought Tobey Maguire, I was like, how are you going to recast like for Spider-Man 4, because they had Spider-Man 4 planned out with Tobey Maguire,
Hmm.
and everybody was returning. Sam Raimi was returning. We had everybody returning. There's literally like drawings and videos of what they were going to do in the final battle. Vulture was going to be in that
Hmm.
movie,
Hmm.
um, and Black Cat, um, and they just I found out that they were recasting, and I'm like, why? He's literally the greatest Spider-Man ever. How the heck is this guy? It was the first time in my life I ever got frustrated with the recasting, was when Tobey Maguire got recasted. And I think Andrew Garfield did a solid job. I think his movies, I think the studio interfered a lot with his movies, but I think he did a solid enough job, and I have some respect for him. And I like his interpretation as more of like an edgier Peter Parker.
Hmm.
Um, and
I like all three of those.
I like all three
I like all
Spider-Man,
three. And to be
but I
honest with
love
you,
Toby.
the most emotional I got was probably with Andrew Garfield. Because I wasn't ready for Gwen to die, right? So in a situation where I'm watching a movie with the hero with the love interest, I always put myself in that position, which means the love interest is always going to be in my mind Kim. And so when I'm watching Gwen fall, oh my god! And it's funny because my kids they're like, Dad, it's a superhero movie. Get a hold of you. I'm over here, boo. I'm like holding my head down. I know you're not crying, Dad. Jesus, what? Because I'm thinking, oh my God. Oh my. I didn't expect that, Jordan. Because she literally goes splat. And bro, I
Yeah,
was not ready for that.
I
I was,
wasn't ready. So I was angry
I was
when the
not
credits
ready for
rolled.
that.
When the credits rolled, I was so ticked off.
I was
I
not
I
ready for
I
that.
there that was like bottom three theater experience for me in terms of the movie itself. It was probably bottom two. I just I got so frustrated because I'm like, it was the first time I hated a studio for what they did to a movie. um I hate that movie so much. um Uh, I can't wait for us to get to that because we're gonna have so
Oh,
many. That's gonna be the biggest discrepancy. Is
it
gonna be
probably
that movie.
is. It probably is because
Yeah,
I liked Jamie Foxx in that movie, even though he was
I like
Elizabeth.
Jamie Foxx.
I loved his character in that movie, but it's bro when she because I Jordan, I promise you as much I on everything I love. There is no way I expected Gwen to meet that fate,
I
and
didn't.
when she did, I'm thinking if that was me. And this is my kid and big ass crocodile tears just start and then my kids are like, what the hell is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? You need help, right? And I'm like, I know. And I'm sitting there, right? And I don't know, man, but it just gosh, I don't know.
Hmm,
I don't know.
it's frustrating.
I am a big fan of Spider-Man. So the only Spider-Man movie that I saw that I didn't like was Spider-Man 3. And even in watching it again, I still hate that scene, but I get what they were trying to do. And in watching it over again, I didn't hate it as much. The only movie I really didn't like during this whole project was Blade 3. That was hard. That was hard to get through. That was hard. I was just like, oh, why am I doing this? I need some liquor. But anyway,
Mhm.
Um, Ross returns repeatedly in the MCU. Hulk's purple pants were avoided. I think there was a scene where he asked her to
Mhm.
take up some, and they were purple.
Mhm.
So I really,
Yeah.
that's one. So there are
Mhm.
three things that they did that I really like. Number one, they had Lou Ferrigno in there. Number two was when he was leaving from whatever city he was in, and he was walking. They definitely played that Incredible Hulk music. And they may have done it
Mhm.
more than once, but I
Mhm.
know they did it once in that scene. And the other was the purple pants because he bought them because they expanded. And I thought that was a really cool way to pay homage to
Mhm.
the comics. So I one thing I like, especially in an origin story, is
Mhm.
if you drop these Easter eggs and play homage to them. And I really dug that, man. I did. You about to say something? I'm sorry.
And no, no, you're good. And another thing they added was the main theme of this movie, like the theme song that you'll hear with this movie, is almost identical to, but it's a more like cinematic version of the theme of the animated series of The Incredible Hulk.
Hmm.
And when I first saw this movie, I knew it right away. I was like, no way they just did this. I love this. It's in the same sense that X-Men the animated series and X-Men 97, that theme is now incorporated into X-Men in the movies,
Hmm.
in like newer movies over the last like 5, 6 years. And it is the same exact way. They did that with the Incredible Hulk series and the animated series and the Incredible Hulk movie, and I loved that. That is so awesome. I love Lou Ferrigno showing up. If they ever do another Hulk movie, Lou Ferrigno needs to show up. Like that's just it's a must. It's like having Stan Lee in every single Marvel movie. You need Lou Ferrigno in every single Hulk project
I
you ever do.
agree. I agree 100%, man. I agree. He's grandfathered in.
Mhm.
It set up the super soldier variants, so I thought that was kind of cool.
Mhm.
Some Easter eggs we see in there: Stark Industries equipment cameo, Super Soldier Serum Evolution, Thunderbolt Ross continuity, Captain America Frozen tease, and
Mhm.
the gamma radiation groundwork. And other than the three ones I mentioned, that's all I can think of. Anything else we missed? Any other Easter eggs you noticed in there?
Actually one very small one that we don't notice until Spider-Man Homecoming, but Spider-Man's teacher with the glasses,
Mm-hmm.
who goes on the field trip with them in Far From Home,
Mm-hmm.
uh, he's in this movie, and when Bruce goes to deliver the pizza and he gets past security, he has like multiple slices of pizza. He gives pizza to Lou Ferrigno, and then he also gives pizza to some tech guys to get into the computer lab. One of those tech guys would end up going to become Peter's teacher. They're the same actor. the same guy and the same character, and so they're the same exact person.
Is it Kirk
Um,
Connors?
no, 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 no. Like I don't even remember the teacher's name, but
Okay.
he's the same teacher that's in all three of the home movies for Spider-Man. That he's the one who's like in No Way Home, where he's like, we built this like they gathered a bunch of like Spider-Man stuff to like pay tribute to him in the high school. He's like, we got all this stuff for you, and the other dude's like, you're a murderer, and he's like, don't listen to him. Um, uh, but yeah, it's small little detail that not many people would find unless they like watch the YouTube video on Easter eggs for this movie.
Okay.
Um, um, I mean, Abomination got a new design. We wouldn't get the. I mean, he ended up getting a more comic accurate design. I guess I don't know how they said he's different, but maybe you could say like he evolved like Pikachu. I don't know. But like
Could you?
I actually really like the Abomination's design in this. Had like the bones stick out and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, they do mention the purple shorts. How he's like, I guess, Betty gets him a bunch of clothes, and one of them's the purple shorts, and she's like, "What?" And he's like, "I'm not wearing
Yeah.
this."
Yeah.
And it almost feels like in the same sense, like I get the same vibe as I got in X-Men, where Cyclops was like,
With the
what do you
Wolverine.
expect? Blue,
Yeah.
yeah, where it's like, what do you expect? Blue and
Yellow.
yellow
Yeah.
spandex or something
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Same vibes there. Um, honest, there's not many Easter eggs in this. Outside of there's very straightforward ones like the shorts and the super soldier serum, but otherwise they're pretty straightforward, and I like that because not every movie needs to have Easter eggs around every single corner. And in fact, I think the some of the best most of the best Marvel movies are the ones that have the fewest Easter eggs and that just do their own thing.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
Except Eternals. Except Eternals.
Yeah. I'm not even gonna go there. That is the one movie I feel like will still suck when we get to it.
Oh, it will.
I think
It
it will suck just as much. Um. All right. So let's get to ratings. So for me, this one, um, I'm gonna give it a 7. I'm gonna give it a 7. Um, Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 67%. IMDb gave it a 6.6. Metacritic gave it a 61. I think that was before what's her name, the other one. Wait, no, is that no? No, those are usually the usual three, but yeah, I gave it a 7. Now, if I'm gonna predict what Jordan's gonna give it, I'm gonna say you give it. It's tough. It's tough. I gotta put my Jordan hat on. So I know you really like the origin story. That means it's not a 5 and it's not a 6. Um, you said this was the best Hulk ever. I'm gonna say you give it a 7.5. But you tell us what do you give this movie?
Well, first, so now that's your fourth 7 out of 10 movie.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic Four, Iron
Mm-hmm.
Man 2, Apocalypse. How do you order those? You had Fantastic Four, Iron Man 2, Apocalypse. Where do you put the Incredible Hulk amongst
I'm
those?
gonna put the Hulk in front of them all. Yeah. I'm a sucker for a good love story. This is a love story. Underneath it all, it's a love story.
Like Deadpool. Deadpool's a love story too.
I mean,
That's what this is, a love story. I can't wait for us to get to Deadpool. That's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be the best video we do.
oh man, it's a love story. I mean, it's a look at he's doing everything he can to protect her, and at the same time, he's doing everything that he can to get back to her. In
Mhm.
my mind, it's a love story, especially when they look at each other. Bro, that's a love story. I know there's
Mhm.
chaos and destruction and all of that, but that's to me that's a backdrop. That's a backdrop in the ballad that is Becky and Bruce, okay? But anyway, I gave it a 7. What say you, sir?
Um, I gave it a 6 out of 10.
Damn!
Um,
I was wrong.
so I put it ahead of X-Men Dark Phoenix.
Mhm.
And I think both of the movies kind of give off the same vibe for me, like a very dark tone of their universes.
Mhm.
Um, but I have it ahead of Dark Phoenix. And just below, let's see, what's my other movie? Um, what's the other movie on my list? I have a head of Dark Phoenix below X Men, the original X Men. I have X Men at a 7 out of 10. So while I appreciate a lot of the things this movie does, I think there are a lot of boring parts every time I watch it. I don't necessarily think it ages better or worse over time. At one point, I gave this a 7 out of 10. The last, for a long time, I gave it a 7 out of 10. But as we're getting so many other movies, and I'm like a 7 out of 10 just feels like I'm giving this movie too much credit more credit than it deserves. Um, I think this is a straightforward movie. Um, as for who this movie would connect to, I think it would bore a lot. I think this movie does bore a lot of people, the average audience. I think that just has to do with the script, um, and the tone itself. This is a very dark tone of the entire MCU. And if you're going and rewatching all this, this doesn't factor into my score, but if you're rewatching all this is the black sheep of the whole, of all the Marvel movies,
Mhm.
because this is the movie that connects to all the Avengers movies, but it's a different Hulk. So, yeah, and I don't think Brave New World did anything for me to necessarily make this better or worse. In fact, this was the first time I saw this movie since Brave New World, since I saw Brave New World. But I mean, Abomination is just sort of like a monster villain. He doesn't really add any sort of like depth to our hero. Um, Also, I don't think there's much of a I don't think there's a huge character arc by anyone. I think this is a very just straightforward, safe Hulk movie. If anyone enjoys just wanting to watch a big green monster smash things, if you want to see a Hulk smash, this is the movie I'm gonna recommend. Otherwise, if you're in it for the plot, if you're in it for the connections with everybody, if you're in it for really everything else, if I don't know how I'm gonna recommend it to you. Um, and yeah, if you're giving me this movie or Iron Man 2, I'm gonna say this movie. I would rather watch this movie just because it, I don't have to think. I have to think a lot for Iron Man 2. Uh, like because of all the plot points, I have to think a lot, and sometimes you just don't want to. Sometimes you just want to put on a movie and watch it. This movie, I don't have to think much. I'm just you're just in it for the ride, and I enjoyed it. It's not good. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but it's not bad by any means. And a lot of people have this very low on. I have a lot of respect for people base for their Marvel reviews, what depending on how this movie is rated. Because if you have this low on your list, you're basing it off of the MCU as a whole instead of the movie itself.
Right. Right.
And
And that's a
and
very good point. That is a very
yes,
good point. Yeah.
yes. And I saw a ranking. Um, there's a streamer that I watch, Sean Chandler, and he did all his MCU rankings. Now he doesn't include the Netflix Marvel shows that are now connected. He doesn't include now the like all the X-Men movies that are now connected. I'm sure at some point he's gonna do that, probably when Doomsday comes out. Um, but he doesn't do all that, and he did his own rankings. He had the Incredible Hulk respectively ranked. It was a good. I don't remember where he had it, but it was a good spot, like right around where I have it. Um, but when he was reading a list that was done by like a movie website, and like a major movie website. I don't remember what it was. And he was just reacting to it live. And the Incredible Hulk was just so low. It was like in the bottom five. And he said the same things that I'm saying. Like, yes, this is the black sheep of the MCU. But watch the movie. And he said this. The people who are ranking the Incredible Hulk low are people who have not gone back to rewatch it since it first came out,
Right.
and or they haven't rewatched it because of the fact that it's a different
Right.
Hulk.
Right.
Go back and I challenge everybody who who thinks this way about the Hulk. Go back and rewatch it. Just go back and rewatch it
Hmm.
because it's not a bad movie. It
No.
is a good movie.
Hmm. No, I mean it's not sexy, but from start to finish you get good performances. You
Yes.
get a good performance from General Thaddeus Ross. I feel like he's the asshole we all know and love. Um, you get a good performance from Betty. You get a good performance from Bruce. And you know, Abomination is power hungry and exactly who you'd think he'd be. So, yeah, I agree with that. I think this was well acted. But the thing is, it's so easy to get swept up in the momentum and in the
Hmm.
glitz and glamour, right? Like this movie isn't sexy. He's not the Hulk that we have know to come and love. And you know, the one thing about doing this is it forces us to just look at the movie on the strength of itself, right? So yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Yep, yep, yep.
And I tend and like kind of like with Iron Man, I talked about how much I liked it, and then I gave it a lower score than most people. But like the same thing with this movie. Like the reason I talk so highly about this movie is because of how much this movie is just put down.
Hmm.
Like I put this movie because I want to show that this movie is good. Like what I'm showing people, that's a good movie right there.
Hmm.
It's not the greatest thing in the world. You'll see better movies than this,
Hmm.
but there's far worse movies than this. Movies that are bad. This isn't far from that. And I have to talk highly about the positives.
Hmm.
There are quite a few negatives, and I just in general like if I'm putting on a Marvel movie, there are other Marvel movies I'm gonna watch. If I'm gonna put on a movie, and I don't necessarily look at this movie all that much, I'd probably 6 out of 10 times I would be like, yeah, I'm gonna watch this movie.
Hmm.
But it's there's just there's other movies I'd rather watch than this. That doesn't mean it's bad,
No, I
which
agree.
is why it's a 6 out of 10.
No, I agree. It makes sense. I like Ed Norton as an actor. I really do.
So do I.
I know he's difficult to work with, but I,
Yeah.
I just think between American X, this movie, and then there's a movie he's in with Robert De Niro called The Score.
Hmm.
Have you seen it?
I have not.
Oh, good movie. So he plays this custodian who
Mhm.
appears to have special needs, but he's not. He's actually a thief, jewel thief, who's trying to get into a storage in a facility that he's working in, and he's working with Robert De Niro to do it. But again, he is masterful. I just think Ed Norton is the rare actor who knows how to direct and make a movie better. Well, I shouldn't say rare actor, but when he has a suggestion to redo a scene, you might want to listen to him.
He loves film.
Yeah.
That I mean, there's people who do this job. I'm pointing at you, Stranger Things cast, that don't like that don't
Oh
care
wow.
about film. They
Oh
don't care
wow.
about film.
Oh.
Millie Bobby Brown, or Millie Bonnie Bon Jovi now. She just doesn't watch movies or film or shows. She doesn't like watching things. Like, uh, what? You don't like anything? Like, why? You don't like what you like. All right, there's some people who don't like what they do, and they're
Mhm.
just really good at it. Okay, Edward Norton loves what he does,
Right.
and that's why he's such a good actor. In the movies where he's trying his best, you can tell he's trying his best. There's just certain actors that don't feel that way. And you can see it in their performances. And that's the difference between the greatest actors of all time and the very good actors of all
I
time.
don't I don't think he gets his just due because he's been labeled difficult to work with.
Yes.
Because
And
I've
that's a
never
struggle.
seen I've never seen a bad performance
Hmm.
of his, and I've seen
I
a
like
lot of
him
his.
in, what is it, Red Dragon? I
Uh
like
huh.
Red Dragon. I like him in Red Dragon a lot.
The 25th Hour. I think with Spike Lee. Um, I just like him as an actor. I think his process is very organic.
Hmm.
Um, I like him as an actor. I think he's great. Yeah. So anyway, favorite scenes: the Brazil factory transformation, the university campus chase, Hulk versus Abomination in Harlem, and Banner's final meditation scene. And I'd add the scene on the bridge where Bruce and Becky see each other. Like I thought that was really cool. Like I really
Hmm.
I felt the connection. Let me ask you this question: Who's a better villain to you? A reluctant one who kind of ends up there by circumstances, or ends up there by, you know, a change in alliance or betrayal, or just a straight up villain who's just, doing it for nefarious purposes? Like which one is a better, or one who believes he's right? Like General Ross believes he's right. I am a general. I am doing what is best for this country. This is what is best for this country. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Or, someone like Abomination who, just wants to destroy the world, just wants to be the most
Hmm.
powerful dude ever. Who's worse to you?
It really depends on who the hero is. Because in my opinion, I think you need the opposite. If
Mm-hmm.
when you have a superhero who's strategic and go and isn't like chaotic
Like
like the
Batman.
Hulk,
Like Batman. Yeah.
like Batman, you need someone who's chaotic
Like
like
the
the
Joker.
Joker.
Yeah. Okay.
In my opinion, with the Hulk, you need a strategic villain like General Ross, like the leader. It's
Yeah.
what makes them great.
Yeah.
Um, and like that's where like and some heroes play a little of both sides, but like Superman, for example, plays a little of both sides, but more of a strategic, thought producing hero. So so a chaotic villain might not work all the time, but finding someone who's even more strategic than him is because he's not the most strategic. Superman's not the most strategic person in the world.
Mm-mm.
Batman makes that very, very clear. In multiple iterations of Batman and
Mm-hmm.
Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but Superman's not the dumbest person in the world. He's also not the most chaotic. Sometimes he can be chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
It really depends on who the hero is, but you need to find the opposite. Um, like in Black Panther, when you have T'Challa and Killmonger,
Mm-hmm.
they're two opposites. They they could have both gone the same path.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, they're thinking about their people, but in very different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh, you need, in my opinion, you need an opposite.
Yeah,
That's my thought.
that's been a long that's been a debate. T'Challa and what's his character?
Killmonger.
Killmonger. That's been a because there's some folks that feel like Killmonger was right.
Yeah.
Especially the climate of today. There are a lot of folks that feel like Killmonger was right, and I think that's when a movie is great,
Yes.
when antagonist and protagonist perspectives are
Yes.
debatable,
Hmm.
right? Because again, I tell you all the time, I don't agree with what Thanos did. I know he murdered half the universe, but he was doing it to save the universe.
Hmm.
Whereas, excuse me for saying this, but bitch ass Mysterio was just doing it because he was on some Twitter shit, and I can't respect that. Like I hate that. It's just so petty. Like, bro, you turned an entire world, and not just Peter Parker, but his family and his friends, and you caused, you're basically responsible for Doomsday coming because all of that is after Endgame, which you had something to do with, you freaking moron. Or
And
did he?
that's, in my opinion, why he doesn't work as a villain. Because he starts the first half of the movie, or first three quarters of the movie, as a strategic villain, and it's seemingly working because he's outsmarting Peter,
Mm-hmm.
but then turns into a chaotic in the final act.
Right, when you didn't get your way.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that's where I didn't I thought what he was doing was just in general stupid. It wasn't chaotic. It was just like you turned a strategic villain dumb, and it's kind of hard to do that. And that's just why I don't think it worked. Like with Vulture, why Vulture's such a great villain, and like I remember when Homecoming came out, people were like, "Is this the greatest villain in the MCU?" That was the initial thoughts, and I don't think people are gonna realize that now. Is that when Vulture came out, people thought he was the best villain in the entire MCU, and I remember people when that came out, people were like, "Oh, Sony produced the best villain in the entire MCU." I was like, "What? No, they didn't." And look, I love Vulture. I love Vulture. I think Michael Keaton, what he does as Vulture is top notch. It's one of the
Yeah,
best villains.
but to me, you're not a villain if you can't whoop everybody's ass. Like, I mean, top villain. You might
And
be a villain.
that's where he was never chaotic. And he always had a reason and a
What he was doing.
strategy behind everything. Even he never wanted to see the world burn. He
Right.
just always he at the end of the day he had a rhyme and a reason for why he was doing the things that he was doing. Even though he wanted to kill a 16-year-old Peter Parker, he was doing it. He knew why he wanted to do it.
Yeah. I just, for me, if you talk best villain, you better be able to whoop everybody's ass on an Avengers team. Like you can't be like the Joker could never be the best villain because you couldn't whoop everybody's ass on the Justice League. Like you need help. So for me, I mean, don't get me wrong, the Joker is definitely chaotic and he's definitely an interesting villain. But when we talk about taking on teams from a team's perspective, if you're talking about the Justice League versus the League of Doom, Joker's probably the first guy you take out. Like, you know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
when I think of villains like Thanos and Darkseid, that's what you know what I mean? So,
And that's why Darkseid and Thanos always have the biggest potential to be the greatest. That's why they're the biggest villains in all of the
yeah.
comics. Is because at the end of the day, they can destroy universes and galaxies and multiverses, and they could just with a snap of their fingers, or they can just go pound for pound until you're bleeding out and dying. And
That's
that's what makes them so just powerful.
yeah. That's why I didn't like the whole thing with Apocalypse because you would never kill Apocalypse.
Well, with the Joker, what's the one thing that Thanos and Darkseid have? They're menacing.
Yeah.
They like you're intimidated by them.
Oh yeah.
Are you really intimidated and from like a physical standpoint from the Joker? 'Cause
No.
I'm not.
What I will give him is you never know what he's going to do. The thing about the Joker,
Chaos.
yeah, but it's controlled chaos Because
Hmm.
understand when the Joker engages you, it's going to be two choices that are very bad.
Hmm.
And they're not going to be what you think they are. So in that, like even though he is chaotic, he and Batman are similar in that when the Joker goes after somebody, he's thought it out. Now, I don't think he cares about the outcome because I don't think he cares if he lives or dies. He just, like he says in the film, is an agent of chaos. But as far as the attack, the parties that need to be engaged, very well thought out. Even if you look at The Dark Knight, in that opening scene, he's got to drive that bus out at exactly the time that he ends up. If he's 30 seconds late, it's going to look different because he won't be in a sea of buses, right?
Hmm.
So
Yep.
there is a part of it, and again, he had every guy planned to he planned to have every guy kill the other guy, right? So a part of his planning is meticulous. I just think that the outcome to him is not necessarily win or loss, it's
Hmm.
chaos. So he
Yes.
is a bit of an anomaly.
Hmm.
Um and a bit of a paradox in that he is an agent of chaos, but the way he goes about it is not chaotic at all. Does that make sense?
Yes, and but getting to the beginning of this point between like Abomination and General Ross, that might be the weakest part of of the whole movie for
Yeah.
me is that like I don't think the villain is great in this movie, but
No.
and I don't think the villain's ever been great in a Hulk movie, because General Ross ends up being the villain because he's a manipulator at the end of the Hulk 2003 and the Incredible Hulk, and I'm like, okay, I don't care. Like, where's the leader? I want to see the leader at some point versus the Hulk, but we're probably not going to get that. Um, and I like Abomination as like a puppet almost. I don't
Mhm.
like him as the final boss,
Yeah.
and that's what he was in this movie. It was just like a poorly structured villain in this movie.
Hmm.
That you knew what was happening as it was happening throughout the film, and you're like, all right, we kind of know what's gonna happen. So yeah.
I tell you what I really liked that they did in that when Abomination goes to the leader and is like, "You're gonna do this," and the leader's like, "I'm not saying I don't want to do it. I'm saying you might not live through it." Right? It's just his whole approach is like, dude, I want to see this as much as you do. Like, I think this is kind of cool, but you
Mhm.
might die. I think he does a great job of conveying this,
Yeah.
right? I thought his performance was really good. And what's interesting is in Captain America: Brave New World,
Hmm.
I would almost say he's a reluctant villain because I mean, basically Ross imprisoned him, lied to him,
Hmm.
told him he was going to do things and do it. I can understand why he do. Now, did he take it a little far? Sure he did. But I could
Hmm.
understand why he would do that.
And
Because go ahead. Give me your
uh,
thoughts on that.
I'm glad you brought up Brave New World because I'm thinking as we're talking about this, I'm like, holy crap, they do the exact same thing in Brave New World. The leader is General Ross,
Hmm.
and General Ross in Brave New World is Abomination.
Abomination, yes. Yes.
You have these characters that are like planning things out. Now, General Ross doesn't necessarily know what's happening
Right.
in Incredible Hulk.
Right.
Like he doesn't know that he's going to become Abomination at
Right.
all. But you have this like this guy who's like thought processing villain and for the overarching part of the whole movie, but then the final act is like the puppet.
Right.
And I'm maybe that's why
Same thing.
both movies aren't better.
I tell you what, man. I don't know what the hell you had to eat today, but damn it, it worked. You're on fire tonight, buddy. You were on. I didn't even see that, man. I
I had a
did, but you're
Snickers
you're
bar
one
today.
hundred
That's all I
percent
had.
right. You said what?
I had a Snickers bar today.
It
That's all
gotta
I've
be
had today.
something. Hey, man, you need it. That's. I mean, damn. You're. You're on fire tonight, man. Because you know what? You are 100% right.
Hmm.
You are 100% right. In Brave New World, the leader is Ross in the Hulk, and Ross is the Abomination. Although unsuspecting and unwittingly, but the same thing.
Yeah. And
That,
I mean, unknowingly to the rest of anyone in the entire movie, like nobody except for the leader in Brave New World, he's the only one that knows Thunderbolt Ross is going to be the Red Hulk,
yeah.
and in the Incredible Hulk, no one knows that Blonsky's going to be that except for the leader in both movies.
Right. Right. Right.
Both movies,
But
the
he's
leader
but
is
he
the only person who knows,
but
or the
he's
first person who knows.
reluctant. He's reluctant to do it.
Yes. Oh, yes, of course.
I mean, but it's funny the way he does it because he's like, I mean, I'll do it,
Hmm.
but you might die. And dude's like, well, I think he slams him down or does something. And he's like, I'm gonna take that as a yes. But I thought that his portrayal in the first movie, what he was funny to me, just in his responses
Yes.
and the way he was very funny to where when we get to Brave New World, he's a lot darker.
Hmm.
And it would make sense because of what happened to him. Because remember that the gamma radiation spilled on him, spilled onto his head actually, and we saw what happened. But I don't know. That's a very you've made some great insights tonight, man. You're on fire today, bud. I got
At nighttime I'm clear.
you
Like
clear.
I get that's how I've aced exams. I've gotten my papers done at 1 in the morning because that's when I'm at my best.
Well, we need to do these at night then, man, because you're on fire. But hey, I appreciate you joining me. So we've got Thor in the event. When are we doing? Are we doing that tomorrow?
Yes.
What time? 8 in the morning?
8 in the morning.
Oh God. Okay. I gotta sleep fast.
I mean, we can
At
um
some point, man, we got to get back on schedule. So I get it. Like at a certain point, we got to get back on schedule, and I'm just gonna grin and bear it. I
what's your Monday night looking like? So there's no Monday Night Football.
mm, I could probably if we could do it in an hour, I could do one, but I don't know that you could. You
Yeah.
might be able to do Thor in an hour. You can't do Avengers in an hour.
Yeah, no, no. The Avengers, yeah. The
Yeah.
Avengers needs to.
So, um, yeah,
I can't do Tuesday, but yeah, or
let's just
Wednesday.
we'll just go ahead and get it
Yeah.
done tomorrow. Just
Tomorrow.
it is what it is. I
Yeah.
just got to sleep fast. But hey, man, I appreciate you joining me as always, Jordan. This was fun, man. This was
Yeah.
really. I enjoyed this. You had some great insights tonight, sir. So whatever the hell you took today, go ahead and take that for in the morning. Um, I gotta rewatch. Oh man, I gotta watch Thor. I gotta watch Thor. I gotta rewatch Thor and the Avengers. And Sunday's a no go for you, right?
Yeah, Sunday
Nothing.
is a no go.
Can't
Yeah,
can't
no.
do can't do Sunday. Okay.
Yeah, big day. Last week of the regular season.
All right. And then tomorrow night you've got a dental appointment or what? You got something tomorrow night?
I had dentist today, and I we have two football games tomorrow. Two big football games
Which are what?
tomorrow night.
Who are the games?
Bucks Panthers and Seahawks 49ers, one seed in the NFC, and whoever wins the NFC South.
Tomorrow's Saturday, right?
Yes.
Oh, they play tomorrow?
Yes.
I did not realize that.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Okay. Ay ay ay.
I will say there's no Thursday night football games. Thursdays are now my Thursdays are now open for the rest of
let's
until
let's do,
football
let's
season.
let's do Thursday night then.
Thursday?
Yeah, let's do
All right.
Thursday because then we can catch up and then we only have what's that after that? Let me see. We'll only have one.
We got
You-
Thor, the Avengers, and Ooh, we might be into a non-MCU movie now. I think it's the Amazing Spider-Man. Wait a minute. Let me double
I
check
think you're
that.
right. You're right. Yeah, you're right. So we'll have the Amazing Spider-Man that Saturday or
All
Friday.
right, we
So
get a new Spider-Man. Ooh.
yeah. So yeah, we can do those two Thursday night then, because honestly, I like to watch it a couple times, so
Yeah.
um, I can be authentic and come and talk about it and not, you know, read from cue cards. So yeah, no, that's cool. We can do that, man. But golly, man, you had some great insights tonight, buddy. I'm gonna think back on what you said. I'm gonna watch this show so I can think back on what you said, because now I gotta go back and look at it. And that's something else I wanted to add to, or another segment I wanted to add to, is just like, how does the actions of this movie, what does it impact the character long term?
Hmm.
In regards to their arc, or in regards to end game, or just later down the line.
Hmm.
Um, I think that's the beauty of this, is because in Iron Man, you really see throughout the entire series
Hmm.
his where his arc is going, and it makes sense. So, I'm looking forward to that.
And my last note is, because I haven't done, I didn't do this for Iron Man. So Iron Man, Iron Man 2, and the Incredible Hulk, they all take place in the year 2010.
Hmm.
So, even though Iron Man came out in 2008, The Incredible Hulk came out in 2008, Kevin Feige has made that very clear after Iron Man 2 came out in 2010 that all three of these movies take place in 2010. When we watch Thor, that takes place in 2011. That's our only 2011
Hmm.
movie that takes place. And then the Avengers takes place in 2012. We start, I believe there's two or three movies that take place in 2012. I think it's two. But yeah, so Iron Man 2, The Incredible Hulk, we're done with the year 2010. And Thor on Thursday,
And the Avengers.
2011.
Yeah, man. So then we got the Amazing Spider-Man, the Wolverine, Thor: The Dark World.
I have strong opinions about the Wolverine because I think that's a great movie that's ruined by the ending.
Mm.
Mm. I think about that movie. I watch that movie sometimes and then I just
Is
shut
that
it
the one
off.
where he
Like,
gets poisoned at the end?
yes, well,
Okay.
he's been poisoned throughout the movie, yeah.
Okay.
But like, it's one of those movies I'm okay shutting it off with like 15, 20 minutes left in the movie. Like, it's a great film up until that,
Mm.
and it ruins the whole film for me.
Mm. That's gonna be interesting, man.
Mhm.
That is gonna be interesting. I can't wait, man. This is
I
really
can't wait for the Avengers. I love the. We're talking about the Avengers. For the majority of my life, was my favorite movie.
yeah. I agree.
Like from 2012 when it first came out, I was probably 11 because it came out probably beginning of the year, and up until Infinity War came out in 2018. That was my favorite movie, and I think this year will be the same amount of time since Endgame has passed.
Mm.
So, Endgame I mean, who knows what Doomsday is going to bring for me? I mean, it's possible Doomsday ends up my favorite movie ever by the end of the year. I don't have that high of expectations on Doomsday,
You can't.
which by the which by the way, while we're here and it's a new year, happy new year.
Happy New
Um,
Year.
uh, I'm gonna tell you my most anticipated films for the year.
Okay.
Um, and my top 10 most anticipated films for the whole year. Um, I mean, this is every genre. These are sequels. These are everything. Um, I have a pretty surprising list. Which actually, Sinners was my favorite movie of the year last year. It was a
I
9.5 out of 10.
love Sinners.
It was the only movie that I gave a
I
9.5 out of
love
10 or
Sinners.
higher.
I love
Um,
Sinners. I wish you would have done the Sinners podcast with me, because I did it,
Yeah,
but I think you had something to do that weekend. Anyway, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. I remember that was when I was working. Trying to find most anticipated. Right, let's go Doomsday. Um, where is it? All right, most anticipated films for 2026. Now this goes all over the place. This is almost every genre. 10 is Clayface. That is Batman's villain from the comics.
Hmm.
I'm so intrigued by this movie. So the script was so good that was given to James Gunn that he greenlit a movie right away. And this is one of your first movies for this new universe. Like that's a bold move. So
It
I'm
is.
very intrigued by this movie. Um probably the most intriguing movie on this entire list.
Okay.
Nine is The Mandalorian and Grogu. In general, I've always been a fan of The Mandalorian and Grogu. I love the Mandalorian series. I'm a big Star Wars fan. Um, where Star Wars is right now in terms of the state of the franchise is why it's only nine. Um, if I had higher expectations for the Star Wars franchise, this would probably be higher.
Okay.
Um, Eight is Scary Movie six. We're getting the scary movie this year. I love it.
Isn't it seven?
Um,
Isn't it seven
uh,
that they're on?
it's six.
Or is that Scream?
Um,
I'm thinking about Scream.
no,
Okay.
not Scream. In fact, Scream's not even on here. Um,
Wow.
I, I'm
Aren't they
not.
releasing an iteration of Scream?
Yes, so I believe Scream seven. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just not. I loved what I saw the last two Scream movies, and they're not going down that route because of some behind the scenes stuff. So I don't really have high expectations for that movie at all.
Okay.
If that movie's good, it would probably be shocking for me. But yeah, scary movie. I love parody movie. I feel like we haven't gotten a really good parody movie in a while, and getting scary movie. I love the scary movies. Um, seven is gonna be Evil Dead Burn. Every Evil Dead movie that's come out since the reboot in 2012, all of them have been great. Uh, they're even so I'm really hyped for this movie. They truly are terrifying, and I love it. They make me want to jump out of my seat and like go crazy. I love those movies. It's so sickening and it's so cool. Um, I love the special effects behind the Evil Dead, the newer Evil Dead movies. Um, Six is going to be Spider-Man: Brand New Day, so it's not in my top five. The reason for that
That's
is
interesting for you. That's very interesting.
yes, Spider-Man's my favorite character
Yeah.
in anything. I don't have high expectations because I don't want high expectations for this movie
Okay.
because Homecoming was street level. It felt, but Far From Home and No Way Home felt like it was on a global scale, a multiversal scale. It just felt like too much, and I I'm okay with the street level. I'm okay with it being street level. I want to see Punisher. I want to see these guys. So I'm looking forward to I can't wait for Spider-Man Brand New Day. It feels refreshing almost to see this movie. But yeah, it's not going to be in my top 5. 5 is going to be Terrifier 4. The culmination of the Terrifier franchise. I love the Terrifier franchise. The third one was one of the best theater reactions I've ever seen to a movie in my entire life. Incredible. I've heard great things from the director that the director said, just wait till you see this movie. Four is Supergirl. Um, I initially had this lower, but after I saw the trailer, uh, I'm set because I wanted them. I believe this movie is going to be better than Superman from last year. I 100% believe that. Um,
I don't.
the
I
storyline that they're taking from the comics
don't.
is exactly what I would have done for a Supergirl movie.
Okay.
They are doing they're because at the end of the day, Supergirl is very relatable in terms of Superman just became this figure, this idolized figure.
Hmm.
And with Supergirl, she had to watch her world be destroyed, Krypton. And as she's going off with the Kryptonians to safety, Then another alien race kills the rest of the Kryptonian species and just leaves her, and she's all that's left. And she had to watch them all die. All these people die on Krypton. All these people die in this like safety group of people that
She's
left
got
Krypton.
PTSD.
She is the last surviving person.
Mhm.
She is down in the dumps on herself, and that's what makes her so great is how she comes up from that. Because like Superman, like how I was telling you between Iron Man and Spider Man, how like Spider Man's down low and then goes up high in his character arc. Well, Iron Man's high, then low, then high. Same thing with Superman, and Supergirl.
Mm.
Three's Avengers Doomsday. Um, the way Marvel's universe has been at post Endgame, I don't have high expectations. So as high of expectations, otherwise this would be number one. Two's the Odyssey. It's Christopher Nolan. I've read the Odyssey, love the Odyssey book, love Christopher Nolan. This dude's making a
That's
billion
a
dollars this
big
year.
ass book. That's a
Yes,
huge book.
yes, it is.
Oh my
This is gonna make $1 billion this year,
probably.
100%.
Yeah.
That's my guarantee of this whole list is the Odyssey's getting $1 billion,
That's your guarantee.
guarantee. And then my number one, because I can't wait. I've been hyping this movie up. Michael. I love
Oh,
Michael
the Michael
Jackson.
Jackson biopic?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm super excited for this movie. If this movie ends up bad, I'm gonna be so disappointed. It might be my most disappointing film
I hope
of all
I
time.
hope it's not bad. I
Yeah.
certainly do. I hope it's not bad, man. Well, hey, I'm now you got me excited about it, so I'm gonna have to go back and watch this again so I can write down the movie so I can check them out. But
Hmm.
hey, man, all good. Jordan, this was fun as it always is,
Yeah.
brother. Thank you for doing this with me, man. It's so it's just fun. It's just
Hmm.
fun. You make me see things that I didn't see before, so now I got to go back and you know look at some of what you were saying. But you were on one tonight, man. Very great insight, and I appreciate it, man. I learned from you, so hey, we will see you. I guess we'll do it Thursday. You want to say Thursday? What 6:30? That good time for you?
Thursday works.
All
Yep.
right, brother. We'll see you Thursday at 6:30. Until then, you have a good night. What time are Carolina and Tampa Bay playing tomorrow?
I think like 4:30, somewhere around there.
Oh wow, I definitely got to check that out. Thank you for telling me that. And the Bills
Yep.
play who?
Um, the Bucks play the Panthers at 4:30, and then the Seahawks play the 49ers for the one seed in the NFC at 8.
Mm, so it's two games tomorrow. Okay. Well, I
Yep.
got to check them both out. So I'm
Mhm.
glad you told me of that. But hey, man, you enjoy yourself, my friend. I'm gonna go get in bed because I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning and it has come to get me. So enjoyed it, enjoyed it, bro. I'm about to go to sleep. I might even sleep in this jacket, man. That's how tired I am. So hit me up tomorrow, and yeah, super. I'm excited. We got through all the. I don't want to say the doldrums, but we kind of got through some of the minutia and
Mhm.
just the pre MCU stuff, and now it just gets so fun, man. Because
Mhm.
this was fun, and I think a large part of what's going to be fun about it is just seeing how a lot of these characters start versus how they end and really witnessing the journey. I think that's going to be
Mhm.
fun because each of them had Thor has his own arc from Thor to Fat Thor to everything in between.
Mhm.
I mean, Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, Hawkeye, definitely Black Widow. So it's going to be interesting just to see where they end up. So anyway, my friend, you have a good night. And yeah, man, hit me up tomorrow. Hey, who do you have winning the NFC South?
I had the Bucks. I'm gonna stick with the Bucks. Bucks are the home team too.
All right. And NFC West?
Um, my gut's telling me the Niners are gonna be the one seed. So yeah, I just don't. This is a big game, and Darnold doesn't do well in big games.
Hmm. All right. We will see tomorrow, my brother. You have a good night, sir. Thank you again.
See you, man.